I've drawn a line in the sand.
I don't know what you're talking about.
People that enjoy raw cookie dough more than they enjoy a cooked cookie
Yeah, raw cookie dough more than a cooked cookie.
need to
Right.
have the police called them.
Celebrated. Wait, the police called on them. I'm one of those people that really enjoys cookie dough. I'd much rather cookie dough.
Do you honestly think that?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
I were
like
to put a
cold.
tube of cookie dough in front of you and then some freshly baked cookies, you really
All
would
right.
grab the dough first?
I want to make sure you put different adjectives on it. Like no one
Okay, how about
enjoys
fresh out of the refrigerator cookie dough?
Okay, because
Whatever your temperature preference,
your
whatever your
adjectives are
temperature
loaded. I just want to make sure we're clear on this. Your adjectives, fresh, hot, cooked, dough, like
as opposed to
frozen, icky,
straight from the refrigerator. Should I say cookie dough?
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Not like I don't want room temperature cookie dough now.
You can present the cookie dough however you want.
Right.
Ice cream's cheating.
Oh, no. I'm just talking as is. Nothing on the cookie. We're talking about chocolate chip cookies, cookie dough versus a baked cookie. I'm not going to say 100% of the time I'm going to go for the cookie dough, but I absolutely enjoy a cookie dough. Yeah. There's a reason I'm a type 2 diabetic. There's a reason for it. And that is because I would take the tube and destroy it like it owed me money.
You're a reptilian.
I am partial. That is a conversation for another time. And on that note, everybody, thank you for joining Nerds Night Out. This is just a celebration of all things pop culture. And tonight we are diving deep into the crevices of Vinnie Mac.
The rise and fall of Vince McMahon.
Oh my gosh. Obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, Vincent Kennedy McMahon needs no introduction, nor does probably the scandals that he has embroiled himself in over the last few years. But I do think it's necessary as we talk about everything from zombies to cartoons to comic books to preface this entire conversation by stating that we are obviously using fair use with this, and this is just really for entertainment purposes. We are certainly no lawyers. We are no Vinnie Mac experts. We know a lot about Vinnie Mac in the same way that you guys do from the news, and we encourage you guys to kind of do your own research, as you should with any real historical piece. Also, the more graphic details we discussed today, a lot of that stuff comes from places like the Wall Street Journal. So the information that we're discussing, you really do have access to, and it does have some adult content.
Keep your kids away from the Wall Street Journal.
Yes, keep your kids away from the Wall Street Journal. There's enough Alex P. Keatons in the world. We don't need any more. So don't let them read the Wall Street Journal. And also, I do need to say that, and we in no way, shape, or form condone the abhorrent behavior that we'll be covering. And in no way are we trying to be insensitive to the victims. And there are a lot. Yeah, there are a lot of victims. So Vince McMahon, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nerds Night Out, the rise and fall of Vincent McMahon.
Is this an appropriate time to work on my impression?
Go ahead. Let's hear your impression of Vincent McMahon.
Fire.
That's good. I like it.
I felt good.
I felt right. I felt right.
I wish I was a billionaire and I can actually say that in real life.
Now, he wasn't always a billionaire, right? I mean, obviously, I think that goes without saying, but
it does not go without saying
that
he was not always a billionaire.
I feel like it should go.
Most billionaires are born billionaires.
Yes.
We only hear about the ones that weren't because it's a far and few in between.
Sure.
We don't know about the other ones.
And like most billionaires, he is, needless to say, eccentric and has habits that will make you want to clutch your pearls.
Let's get started. This is the rise and fall of Vince McMahon.
Let's do it.
His television character is that of a ruthless, powerful businessman and is on par with a Bond villain. In real life, he is ruthless. He's a powerful billionaire, cutthroat entrepreneur, raunchy control freak. A control freak to the point that he keeps eating pizza a secret because he doesn't want anyone to know he ever ate any such garbage as pizza. That's in quotes.
Oh my God. That, first of all, I love wrestling. I think that goes without saying. I'm a huge wrestling fan, have been for a long time. Really excited for the upcoming WrestleMania 40. Glad they're going back to numbering things. But I'm not going to lie. Hearing these things, hearing that the man doesn't enjoy pizza, that he finds pizza.
No, he does enjoy pizza.
Wait, he doesn't, but he doesn't in secret, right?
Right.
Listen, as someone who was born in Brooklyn, I worked in Brooklyn most of my life. It is. There's nothing. If you want to be ashamed of something, don't tell people. If you're a New Yorker and you tell people you love Domino's or you love Pizza Hut, yeah, all right. Listen, if you want to enjoy those things, go for it, man. Knock yourself out.
Every New Yorker's heritage.
Right. But like, you do that shit in closed doors. You don't talk about that in public. You like Domino's, you like Pizza Hut, you take that to the grave. You tell people, what's your favorite pizza? If it's Domino's, you keep your mouth shut. If it's DeFaro's, you open your mouth. You could, even if it's not DeFaro's or L&B or Grimaldi's, you say it is. You lie.
You lie.
You lie.
And if you do eat Domino's or Pizza Hut or something,
do it in the bathroom.
It's forgivable to have a few rough weeks in your life, any kind of rough time in your life. But when you have that hankering for pizza, it's okay to get it, but you better be using coupons.
If you do enjoy Domino's, let me know. I will mail order you salt-covered cardboard, and you can enjoy that just as much as you enjoy Domino's. But the fact that Vinnie Mac hides his love of pizza is just so disheartening to me.
One of the better slices in Manhattan. I'm not claiming it's the best, but one of the better slices is from that pizzeria right across the street, right across 7th Avenue from Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yes. Oh, sure. Yeah. And nothing hits. And you know, as a wee tourmy, when I used to go into Manhattan to go to MSG events with my father and my brothers, we would hit places like we hit the pizzeria right afterwards, and nothing hits better than that, because God knows we weren't paying like $30 for a hot dog in MSG. So my mom and dad, we were getting out and we would hit the pizza, the dollar pizza, whatever it was at the time. And there was nothing hit better than a pizza after an event like that.
One of the many reasons why MSG is my least favorite venue.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I got to know though, this can't be the end of Vinnie Mac's like weird qualities.
He hates sneezes. He hates hearing a sneeze, and he hates sneezing himself. He hates sneezing because it's involuntary, and an involuntary action to him is a sign of weakness. If someone around him sneezes, all work stops, and he berates the sneezer for being weak.
Yeah. I've heard a little bit about this.
If he sneezes,
yeah,
he loses all of his focus and grumbles to himself for a few minutes before getting his composure back.
like Sideshow Bob hitting a rake.
That's wonderful.
I mean, I just
visual.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't get that. I mean, so much of what we do is involuntary. How could he? I mean, that's a sure sign of a control freak. You want to manage your sneezing. I mean, that's just so weird to me.
I kind of get it to a certain extent. I was told that you can't keep your eyes open during a sneeze. So for years in my life, I tried my hardest.
Yeah,
I succeeded.
You did,
and not all the time, hardly ever, but I have done it.
I knew someone who did that and their head exploded.
Was it Mikey from Life Cereal?
It was that kid on the oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Screw it. Cabbage Patch. No, not the Cabbage Patch Kids. What's the other one? The bad one. Garbage Pails Kid. I can picture the Atom Bomb kid going off. That's
Atom Bomb.
Yeah, that's
he was on the cover.
That's right. Yeah. I just don't get the sneezing thing. I don't get it. I there's a lot of things I'll understand about the eccentricities of a billionaire. Sneezing is one. Wouldn't breathing fall under the same category of things that are involuntary?
You're so weak.
I'm just saying. Like, listen, you're breathing. I'm not willfully doing it. I don't think I am.
This is what separates you from billionaires.
I know. That's why I'm not a billionaire, because I put up with my breathing habits and my sneezing habits. I do enjoy, as a dad, sneezing as loud as I possibly can whenever I can. And I try to work in, if any of my former students are out there, they know I just love doing this. I worked in the word sneeze into my sneezes. I will try to say the word sneeze as I sneeze, or I will say the word cough as I'm coughing. Pardon me?
I don't believe you.
I can't do it now. I can't if I jam my finger up my nose, maybe I could do that, but I don't think it'll make for a great visual.
Yeah, if you stare at a light bulb long enough.
I'll go blind, I would imagine. but maybe you sneeze too. Oh, the sun, right? You're supposed to look at the sun, make you sneeze.
Never look at the sun, ladies and gentlemen.
I've been looking at the sun for the last hour, like Donald Trump with the eclipse. No,
Vince McMahon is the most prolific name in professional wrestling ever. And which is weird because I told my kids that I was doing this on Vince McMahon tonight, and they both said, "Who's that?" And I said, "He's the most famous wrestler of all time." Now my kids are 13 years old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first name in the wrestling industry, right? I mean, I guess he is a wrestler. He did wrestle God once, and he won. But in terms of the industry itself, is that what we're going by, the standard of the industry, wrestling industry?
Without Vince, wrestling would not be anything close to what it is today. And the fact that my kids know The Rock,
right?
The fact that my kids know Hulk Hogan, who retired way before they were old enough to watch anything like that, it's all because of Vince.
Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan.
No, he's still alive.
He's not dead?
No.
Oh, I misspoke. No. Terry Bollea, I love you. But yeah, that's fair. I guess he's like the Wizard of Oz. He's like like for a lot of the children, at least if you were growing up a teenager or a young person in the 90s, or what am I saying? You don't have to be young to watch wrestling, but if you were a wrestling fan in the 90s, early 2000s, you sure as heck knew.
You kind of had to be young or old.
That's when I covered both. You covered the
gauntlet. I didn't cover both. I remember in the 80s.
Young or old? What other options are there?
Well, when I was in between. When I was in the 80s, when I was let's say about around 4th, 5th grade, 9, 10 years old.
Yep.
I would watch wrestling with my grandfather, and no one else in the middle would ever watch with us.
Oh,
and that's
okay.
Kind of how it was when I spoke to my friends at school.
That's fair.
Every once in a while, someone would say that they would watch with their dad and things like that, and an uncle. But it was normally children and grandparents.
That's right. When I
skipped the generation.
Yeah. When I was 17 years old in the 5th grade, and I also would watch wrestling. But I get what you're saying. I did tap out. I wasn't 17 years old in the 5th grade. You were supposed to correct me, but I wasn't. Just in case you're wondering. The idea, I did tap out for a little bit too after my teens. I guess into my early 20s, I did tap out of following wrestling, and I think I got back into it. I remember my oldest son came home. He was like, "I love John Cena," and I'm like, "Who the hell's John Cena?" I had no idea who John Cena was
because you didn't see him.
I did not see him. I could not see him. It was impossible. And then that kind of pulled me back in. So he came home. He's like, "I love John Cena." I'm like, "Who's John Cena?" He's like, "I don't know. I love him though." All the kids at school had been talking about him. Kind of like that's probably how we got into wrestling a little bit too. Like you said, watching with your grandfather, kids going to
Saturday morning
talking about Andre the Giant and talking about the legends. So I guess John Cena would now fall into that category. He's a wrestling legend.
He went where most wrestlers tried to go and couldn't.
Yeah. I mean, so if he's not, he doesn't follow the archetype. He's not born wealthy. We're talking about Vince McMahon. He's not born wealthy.
Well, Vince is a 3rd generation wrestling promoter.
Right.
His grandfather, Redrick McMahon. Then there's Vince Sr.
Yep.
Whose name isn't actually Senior. They both don't share middle names, but for this story, we're going to be calling him Senior.
That's fair.
And then Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Vincent Kennedy was born in 1945 in a trailer park in Pinehurst, North Carolina. Pinehurst is pretty much only known for a big deal golf course resort called Pinehurst Resort.
So he's born adjacent to the golf course?
No.
Born on like 18th hole?
No.
Is that a thing?
I wouldn't even say he was. I would not assume that he was.
I'm going to say
golf course properties are usually pretty nice properties.
Yeah.
He was not prosperous at all. He came from a very poor.
Okay.
Poor. I don't even want to say poor stock, but his father, Senior, left him pretty much right after birth.
Wow. That's I mean, that is an extenuating circumstance, right? That's rough. That's rough to hear. You don't usually think, when I think about Vince McMahon now, of course, I think about scandals, I think about money, but I don't generally think about him being born in a trailer park. Right? In a trailer park, yeah. That's interesting.
Most billionaires aren't. The only reference to this period in his life that I could find seems to be from a 2001 Playboy magazine interview. He speaks of abuse from his mother, SS abuse, we might be putting this.
Oh,
on
S
YouTube.
abuse. Yes,
So we're
S
not gonna
abuse.
use the real
No,
words.
fine. I was okay.
From his mother
It's abuse.
and older teenage neighborhood boys.
And this is Vince McMahon Jr. This is Vinnie
This
Mac
is
Jr.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the
Wow.
Vince McMahon we are talking about. Mom had a lot of boyfriends in and out of Vince's life.
Go, Mom.
She wound up marrying a man named Leo Lupton.
Mm.
In this interview,
Like the tea. No, not the tea.
Not the tea.
No, it's Lupton tea. I was my favorite. My parents used to buy off-brand things. Lupton tea, cinnamon roast crunch.
in this interview, he states that Lupton used to beat Vince and his mother. He said of Lupton, "It's unfortunate that he died before I could kill him."
Damn. Or have him killed with his $1 billion money.
Well, it's kind of crazy to think about someone like that, though.
Yeah.
Vince did apparently see some pretty crazy things in his life, and is a victim himself.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean,
from his mother to neighborhood, in his house and out of it.
that's sad. That's rough.
It really
is.
Rough.
I hate that kind of stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
Vince Sr., like I said before, was had abandoned Vince soon after birth, later to be reunited with Vince at around the age of 12.
Reunited.
I couldn't see how they got back together again. It just seems to be kind of matter of fact. I would imagine it was on Junior's part, kind of reaching out. That's about the age where you're going to start
the escapism. I got to get out of here, right?
Well, just looking for just looking.
Yeah,
just looking for it. That's about the age that
I mean, geez, you
can actually start looking, picking up a phone book and start doing some research and stuff.
Not to excuse anything, certainly not by any means. But I'm a big believer. Anyone who works with me or has ever worked with me knows that I truly do believe that, like, your circumstances don't change your responsibilities. And in this case, to hear all that craziness that he went through, it doesn't excuse his erratic behavior, all the terrible things he's done. But I mean, you kind of go, oh, okay, I get no, that's coming out wrong. You're like, okay, I guess, but like,
he's a victim.
It kind of takes the shock.
It just perpetuates.
Right. Bullying people, right? That kind of thing. Yeah, it's a shame. It's disgusting, man.
It really is.
Yeah,
it really is. Vince Jr. seems to be too much of a problem for his father. So Senior sends Vince to Pittsburgh Military Academy.
Oh, God.
After getting caught stealing cars for joyrides. He wasn't stealing cars to make money.
Yeah.
He was just being
cool.
A punk kid having some fun.
After he got done playing in the quarry, he went. I'm just picturing what 80s kid. Well, probably this is actually not. This is like 50s, 60s kids, right?
60s, yeah. Doo-wop.
Right. He went down after he has
put on a leather jacket, standing at a street corner singing doo-wop songs.
Yeah. After he was done, he was like,
garbage fire.
"Let's steal that car." This barbershop quartet. I'm mildly impressed by that. I'm mildly impressed.
According to Vince, he gave the academy a run for its money. As Vince claims, he's the only student to have ever been court-martialed while enrolled. There are no further details about this court-martial. This is only Vince's story, and it's quite a claim if it's true.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, I didn't fact check that by any means of the imagination, but I'm not call BS on that. I have no reason to do that other than just the bolstering nature of that fact that the entire history of a military academy, only one child is court-martialed. You said
court-martial. Yeah, not just suspended.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know the circumstances, and B, if that is true, I mean, that's got to be like not a good record to have. I'm sure the academy's not plastering that on.
To release it either,
but it does seem too bolstery. Like, I'm so badass that the military academy couldn't contain me. I don't know. I shed doubt.
Vince started dating his wife Linda at 16 years old. She was only 13.
How old is he again? I'm sorry. Hit me with that.
Vince started dating his wife Linda at 16
He's
years
16.
old.
She's
He's
13.
16 and she's 13.
Okay.
They married as soon as she turned 18.
Right. I'm
So
surprised.
this way, it's not creepy.
This is the 50s. I'm surprised they weren't married at 16 or 13. He should have been running a factory by then.
They met at church.
Vince's
Vince's mother
nice.
is the one that introduced him.
Church-going
Vince,
folk.
it's the only time he ever went to church.
That one time.
The one time his mom said because a pretty girl.
Come on. Why is always just the one time with him? Why is always it's absurd. Vince, get your story together. That can't be true. The one time I was kicked out. It was the one time someone got kicked out. It was the one time I went to church. Come on. Be reasonable, Vince. That's all I got. Hey, listen, be bolstering. Go, inflate your ego. Do it. But don't give yourself. I was the first one on the moon. Like it doesn't always have to be the first. I had to get that out. I apologize.
Vince Sr.'s father. Now we're talking about Redrick now. Grandpa.
Okay.
Vince Sr.'s father owns Capital Wrestling Federation. That was sold to Senior and renamed the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. This is where Junior worked.
Okay.
Pretty much just as a commentator and a promoter. He also promoted outside the ring. For example, he promoted Evel Knievel's Snake River Canyon Jump. That entire ordeal was seen as a money-grabbing hoax by Evel Knievel. We could do a full episode on this, but I'm not at all interested.
Let's just agree that Evel Knievel's existence was a money grabbing. I wouldn't say hoax, but definitely a money grabbing scheme.
I wouldn't say scheme. He really did put himself at risk for in all of those things. But with this one,
all right,
there is
ploy.
There is.
Can we say ploy?
There is footage on YouTube. You can watch it. It's really underwhelming.
Oh,
I wouldn't even say to check it out.
Underwhelming.
Underwhelming. Yeah.
Why can't anyone just be whelmed?
I'm whelmed all the time.
I'm stealing that from Young Justice. Shout out to Robin.
Again, during this time, Vince was an announcer, and here's a fun fact.
I love fun facts.
At this time, he didn't know the names of any of them. Well, I can't say any of the moves. He didn't know the names of the moves that he was announcing. What a finishing maneuver!
Yeah, that was that sloppy dangle.
Yeah. What would he call? What would he call it? Let's say a DDT. What do you call that?
The head dropper.
The headlock fall on your butter.
Oh, I did it. I named these things. Trademark.
I did that.
I did. I was the first person to do it. I was the only one.
In 1982, Vince Jr. bought the WWF from his father.
It's a lot of W's.
Gorilla Monsoon and a couple of other old guys whose names I didn't write down. He named this the WWF. At the time,
he got the WF. He kicked the world. Oh, wait, what did he cut out?
He got rid of wide.
Wide.
Yeah.
Saved it for the internet. Saved it for the internet. Worldwide.
Yeah, good for
and Pitbull.
Yeah. WWF at this time is in New York only. Back then, wrestling outfits only operated in isolated pockets across the United States, and they all respected each other's borders until the WWF.
Vince respects no borders.
He respected no borders.
You know what? I do find that territory stuff to be fascinating. I'm a big fan of those old time wrestling shows. I like to watch the grainy 70s, 80s kind of footage. But I do see, like, in case you don't know, even now in the 2024 in the future, when sometimes when wrestlers refer to New York, I'm going to New York, they really do mean the WWE now, because they got the F out in the 90s. Really? I think in the 90s, yeah. They lost to a panda.
Yeah, they lost to World Wildlife Foundation. Yeah,
I mean, there are a lot of people who think that pandas are jerks, and now we know for sure they are. I assume there's a panda on the logo. I assume that a panda runs this thing. I don't know, but I'm going to go out on a wild assumption, since I saw a picture of a panda, that a panda is in charge of the World Wildlife Foundation.
It's hard to believe, because pandas just look lazy to me.
They do. They're very dumb animals. They're very dumb. Very dumb animals. I think, they're cute. They're cute. My brother has a picture. He's in China holding a panda. It looks cute, a little filthy crotch, but other than that, they look cute. And but they're dumb. They're dumb. They won't even breathe to save themselves. It's absurd. Like, I think I read a story once, and this is terrible, but like a panda gave birth, which is like an amazing thing because they don't do that very often because again, very dumb. And then it like instantly ate the baby because they didn't know what it was. I mean, come on. Listen, the dodo went extinct because it was friendly. It wasn't stupid, right? It wasn't stupid. It was friendly. It trusted humans. So we shot it and we kept shooting them until there weren't any more. Pandas, they had their chance, man. Let them go.
Also, I'd like to say buffaloes must be stupid too.
Buffaloes, that's a different thing, man. Buffaloes, they were hunted to extinction because, like, not as they weren't hunted to extinction, they were hunted to near extinction because bored railroad riders were shooting the heck out of them, as opposed to the indigenous people who respected and used every part of the buffalo. These guys were just shooting them and letting them rot alongside the rails. They were killed because of proximity. Dodos were killed because they were nice. Pandas had their chance. Let them go. They blew it. You won't even. I think someone. You won't even make this. I think that's like a Fight Club line. They won't. Pandas won't even make to save their species. Let them go.
Vince syndicates first by buying airtime rights to televise.
You're not going to let me go on my panda rant anymore.
To televise matches in the Los Angeles area, then in Ohio, and then on the USA Network on Saturday mornings.
Oh, I love the USA.
This is when cable was in its infant stages. Even though cable is small time back then, it does give Vince national exposure to his company.
Yeah.
Which, according to some of these allegations, he's done enough exposing.
Oh, insinuations. Oh my.
He then, this is around the time, 1982. This is around the time he signs Tony Atlas, Paul Orndorff, aka
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful.
Oh, I love him.
The Iron Sheik, and most importantly, the icon, Hulk Hogan, brother.
Oh, I love. I mean, any 80s kid had to be enthralled with Hulk Hogan. A giant man, mountain muscle, or any other alliterative word. I mean, you had to be enthralled with him. He could speak, he could move, he could wrestle.
Well, he was. I don't even think Hulk Hogan was his name at this point.
He is Terry the Boulder, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah, Terry the Boulder. Terry Bollea is his birth name, granted upon him by the gods. And then he took Terry the Boulder, and I think Hogan was Vince's idea to have like an Irish wrestler, and gives him the name Hogan. And Hulk, I guess, a hulking man, like, but actually they had to pay. Boy, they had to pay for decades. They had to pay Marvel for decades for the right to use the name Hulk. Just so you know.
Yeah, it's a fun fact.
That is a fun fact. All facts are fun.
1983, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, a married man, has a girlfriend named Nancy Argentino. We will not be discussing his wife.
Named after a country.
We're only going to be covering his girlfriend right now. Nancy Argentino dies of head trauma. Her body is found to have over 12 cuts and bruises.
Is she a wrestler as well?
No.
Oh.
No. Her body's found to have over 12 cuts and bruises that are consistent with domestic abuse in different stages of healing. Snuka tells contradicting stories to first responders and hospital staff. The coroner ruled that the death should be investigated as a murder. Vince then organizes a personal closed-door meeting with prosecutors, and the charges disappear. Later in an interview, this is much later now, later in an interview, Vince said of Snuka's incident, "Look, I'm in a garbage business. If you think I'm going to be hurt by the revelation that one of my wrestlers is a really violent individual, you're mistaken."
He's in a garbage business?
Apparently,
I'm not sure I get that analogy. I don't get that.
Sweeping things under the rug, maybe?
Oh.
Is that what the...
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm not...
It's a dirty business. I think he's just saying he's in a dirty business.
Oh, okay. Well, that tracks. That tracks. But I kind of... That sounds... I mean, I'm going to guess, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, a lot of these things, I don't know much about Jimmy Snuka outside the ring, outside like the persona on TV. I do know, I think his daughter, Tamina, is a wrestler. I don't know if she's still with the company, but I know she went into wrestling. I think she was Tamina Snuka for a while, but they dropped the name. I'm going to guess.
I don't know anything about her.
Yeah. I mean, she's a wrestler, the second generation, I guess. Assuming that Jimmy's first, but do you think we're talking like because I know steroid use, even probably at this time, has got to be rampant. Do you think steroid use plays any role in this kind of like roid rage? Are we talking
I wouldn't blame anything other than
just
an
him
abusive
being
partner.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, just him, personality flaw, terrible human being.
Yeah, if he was drunk, I wouldn't blame the booze.
Yeah, gotcha. I understand. No, I'm not blaming. So, no, I don't mean blaming. I mean, like, but you certainly think it's a factor.
No, I don't. I
Yeah.
don't think that's a factor
Okay.
in anything personally. Now, this is in 1983. Vince has only had the company for 1 year, and he's all ready to make problems like this disappear. We're not talking about a traffic ticket. This is a murder rap. This is how powerful Vince is already. After all of this, Snuka remains a babyface. Now, in wrestling talk, that means a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So babyface is your good guy. Heels are your bad guy.
Right.
So, yep, just in case.
In the 2000s, Snuka says in an interview that Vince went to that meeting with a briefcase full of money, but still in Snuka's defense, he reiterated that he never hurt his side piece girlfriend. This revelation led to Pennsylvania police to reopen the case, and it was found that the closed door meeting had a secretary writing down and recording all dialogue in the room with about 60 consecutive minutes of silence written down. This led to the arrest of Snuka, but due to his severe dementia at the time, the prosecution never followed through. Snuka died 2 days after the case was dismissed.
60 minutes?
60 minutes of the secretary not writing a single thing down.
Well, and why do you think she didn't write anything down? Like she was.
I think they said, put your pencil down.
Oh. And then he dies 2 days later, huh? Dies of.
They said, put your pencil down.
Guilt.
And then there's a briefcase full of money.
Gotcha.
And then charges disappear, and there's no record of anything. So we can't say that Vince arranged anything.
Can't trust the stenographer
because it's not written down.
If you know any stenographers out there, they're not to be trusted. I assume that's what we're talking about.
What? I would be a trustworthy stenographer, and for a certain amount, I might put my pencil down too.
Yeah. Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
1984. John Stossel, a reporter for 2020, did an expose on wrestling being fake and was open hand slapped by pro wrestler David Schultz. Dave Schultz was instructed by McMahon to stay in character and to treat the reporter like a fellow wrestler.
You have to forgive me. I think I can't recall. It's been so long. I think his character's like Dr. Death or something like that.
I remember his character, but I don't remember his character's name.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I remember the 2020 interview. I remember seeing bits and pieces. He knocked him down. He was knocked down.
Oh, yeah.
It's called an open hand slap in a case, but it messed him up.
Have you seen those? Have you seen talking about open hand slap? Have you seen those?
Yes.
I'm not going to call that a sport.
That's not a slap. As Joe Rogan puts it, those are palm strikes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I mean, what a dumb sport.
Absolutely no defense.
And I want to make sure we're clear on this. I will watch anything on TV. There is something called, and if please God, somebody look this up. You have to check this out. And if you haven't checked this out, you're missing out. There's something called car jitsu. Car jitsu is exactly what it sounds like. It's jujitsu, where they are the two combatants. Are in a car, buckled, and like the timer hits or some nonsense starts. They have to unbuckle and beat the crap out of each other in a car. Car jitsu, ladies and gentlemen, it is the future of sports. But this thing, I don't know what it's called. Is it called slap fighting? I don't know what it's called.
I forgot what it's called.
Well, whatever it is, it's dumb. There's no chance. It's like essentially head injury as a sport. That's what they call it. Just call it straight up head injury because that's all you're doing. There's no way to defend yourself. There's no way.
There's zero. Your only defense is to like close your eyes and just absorb you. Just let your brain rattle around inside.
Well, there's no chance of that being ever considered. If you enjoy that as a sport, you are a sadist. You are a sadist, and I will go on record, and I'm pretty sure that society will back me up because there's no pleasure to be had in that. And now wrestling on the other hand, listen, I think we didn't address the elephant in the room. We are talking about something that, by and large, I think as a child, we both considered sports. We considered to be a contest of champions. But we now know, as we got older, that it is wholly predetermined, right? We know that wrestling is a predetermined kind of play between.
Still real to me.
Yeah, you know what? But man, I've seen so many wrestlers.
My mic just fell, ladies and gentlemen.
I've seen.
Yeah. Check.
Better?
Think so. Do I sound handsome?
You damn right you sound handsome.
Nice. Stossel filed a lawsuit, and Vince reportedly settled for $420,000 and immediately fired Schultz.
Now,
Schultz was only doing what he was told.
Yeah, right. I guess now that's another thing that we should probably say too is that WWF, WWE wrestlers, they have weird contracts. You have to forgive me. The name of what they are considered. They are independent contractors. Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, and they have these very weird contracts, essentially, where they pay for their own hotels, they pay for their own travel, their own health insurance. They're non-unionized. So
and if they're out because of an injury, they get paid less while they're under contract. They have to be performing in order to make the real money. So it's really not in their best interest to get hurt.
So I guess that's why you have that. So that gives some credibility. Not excusing the responsibility, but certainly understanding the circumstance. I guess that's where the preponderance of pain, killer addictions, and those kinds of things. That's what you're hearing about.
They all tell stories about
alcohol,
about just working through all the pain.
Yeah.
Reoccurring injuries and not obeying doctor's orders. It's all the same story over and over again.
All for your entertainment, folks.
This is also the time where Vince signs Greg the Hammer Valentine, Roddy Rowdy Piper, Jesse Ventura,
Jesse the Body Ventura,
Bobby
Star
the Brain
Predator,
Eating, and the JYD, Junkyard Dog. And he bought them all from existing rivals.
Fun fact, because all facts are fun. There's only three movies, I should say, excuse me, that star two different United States governors.
All right, I can name them.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're gonna have.
So this is three movies. It's the same two stars.
Movies.
Three. I'm pretty sure it's three.
I can think of two.
Okay, go ahead. Give me
one of them. He don't got time to bleed.
Okay, so Predator, right? Because
Predator.
we got Jesse the Body Ventura, who I think went on to be the governor of Minnesota.
Yes.
And you have, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who went on to become the governor of California. So we got that one. We have the Predator. Excuse me, not the Predator. Predator. Excuse me. The Predator is a different movie. Drawing a blank.
I'm drawing a blank now.
Okay, I'm pretty sure Batman and Robin.
That's right.
He plays Mr.
The one.
Arnold plays Mr. Freeze, and Jesse the Body Ventura plays a small guard in the Mr. Freeze's cell. But am I wrong? I'm about to say the Running Man. Are they both in that?
They are both in the
Okay, so
I was going to say the Running Man.
Okay,
that's the one I was.
Because I believe a Stephen King novel turned into a movie.
If that's the case, then it's the best Stephen King movie out there.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Batman.
Always back to Batman.
The worst puns ever.
Oh yeah, the ice puns.
Yeah,
Arnold.
My kids were like 4 years old the first time they saw that movie, and they just started making fun of him. Cool out.
Yeah.
Chill.
The Ice Age that would kill the dinosaurs. The Ice Age.
Meanwhile, they watched Running Man, and they said all the same puns, but they weren't making fun of him.
Yeah.
You had to split.
Oh, I know. You gotta love. I think we definitely we need to do. We did in the past. We did a top 5 zombie movie countdown. I think we had to do like action 80s
We
countdown.
could do Schwarzenegger itself.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
he's a legend.
All right, 1984. Also the year Vince signs Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper pushes the WWF into pop culture and MTV. This puts them on Saturday morning, the Saturday morning cartoon, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling.
Oh, I swear to God, I love that show so much. I was an 80s cartoon junkie.
I used to talk about that show Monday morning at school.
And Hogan didn't give his own voice. That was Brad Garrett.
I remember noticing that it wasn't him, and
Yeah.
I remember being disappointed, but I just
As
like
you should
wrestling being real at the time.
Yeah.
I convinced myself that was the Hulkster's voice.
Like that was them, right?
I convinced myself. I knew that it wasn't in my heart. But
I guess when they're traveling 395 days a year, it might have been hard to get them to settle down in a studio. I'm aware of how time works. I was being hyperbolic. I know. I could see the look in your face already.
it's also for children, though. It doesn't take much for a 10-year-old to use his imagination.
By the way, that 395 days a year, of course, I was referring to leap year. So, I just should be clear on that.
I thought you were adding October.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
October is a great month. A lot of fun. Should be a new one.
Then Saturday night main event on NBC. This is the biggest exposure probably ever.
Outside of Vince's dressing room.
At the time, if you remember, 1984, no one really had cable.
No.
And how many channels did we have?
5, maybe?
Yeah, 5, 6.
Have a channel spot 2, 4
on NBC on a Saturday night.
That
is huge.
Oh yeah, I still remember Channel 5, Fox for New York. For New Yorker, yeah. I remember Married with Children being like the show that pretty much, I don't want to say launched the network, but certainly it's like a launching show on the platform.
Simpsons and Tracy Ullman, yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, so much, but you're absolutely right. This is a time where cable is in its infancy. I remember, I know we're in a pre-WrestleMania, we're getting to WrestleMania, but I remember going to my local church's gymnasium to watch WrestleMania 3 on closed circuit television because cable, I'm not sure if even cable was an available thing for us at the time, but we all gathered in the church gym for about probably $5 to watch WrestleMania 3 at the time.
They ask you for money.
Yeah, they asked me for money. Yeah, and a tithe, the 3,000% tithe.
Well, this
am I the only one? I'm the only one who does that?
Tithings?
Yeah, 3,000%.
3,000%.
Yeah, I owe.
Well, you were a child, so what's 3,000% to a kid with
nothing?
No income?
Right.
That's a stick of gum.
Yeah, every Wrigley's I had.
This is the birth of Hulkamania. Most other organizations at this point have folded in one way or another, and WWF fans are, in fact, fanatics and loyal.
That's fair.
1985, WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania is the product of professional sports, pop culture, and rock and roll, all colliding with wrestling, showcasing Muhammad Ali, Cyndi Lauper, and Mr. T during this event. WrestleMania 1 is the first wrestling pay-per-view event ever, and is a huge success. Vince put everything on the line for WrestleMania 1.
As in, like, all the money he had?
If it failed, he would have failed.
Whatever money he had left from not bribing the stenographer at Jimmy Snuka's interview, he put into WrestleMania 1. I think
in the 2020 interview thing.
I think Dusty Rhodes. I'm gonna do that's my best Dusty Rhodes. That's what I got. My best Dusty Rhodes. I think Dusty Rhodes had a competing idea at the time for the NWA, which would eventually kind of become WCW, and that became their like Starrcade. That was their version of WrestleMania. Of course, pales in comparison to the glitz and glamour of. I mean, if you wanted to tell someone what was the 80s like, you could probably just show them a press release photo from WrestleMania 1 where you have Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, who is just both an amazing human being and a fun actor, right? I mean, that's fair to say, right? And also had his own cartoon and toy line, I think. But and then you have cereal. That's right. That cereal was awesome. I remember that. I was a cereal junkie as well. Type 2 diabetes. But yeah, I mean, if you want to show someone what the 80s are like, that's a fair photo to show? Probably like a crew photo of that.
Starcade is to WrestleMania as Burger King is to McDonald's. Fight me.
No. I won't fight you on that. I won't fight you on that. I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna one up you. I will double down on agreeing with you. But I think calling it Burger King, for me at least, as a New Yorker myself, as someone who grew up with the World Wrestling Federation, for whom WCW was like a distant second. It's more like they are the Arby's of fast food chains. If WWF
mean,
I take nothing back. There goes a sponsor from Arby's, but
we're looking at you, McDonald's.
McDonald's, we're good. We're good. Big Mac, Vinnie Mac, Big Mac. It rhymes. Sponsor us. But I that would be more appropriate to call it Arby's, because that's how I saw it, at least. They wouldn't even mention on air, like WWF. In case you guys don't know, the WWF they're like Stalin in the way they erase people from history. If you are an outside organization, if you are a wrestler that's no longer with their organization, if you have done something of the sort, that kind of illegal sort, let's say, if you've done something that tarnishes the name of the company, you are gone. They will airbrush you out of the photo and erase any memory of you. And they never even, growing up, they never even mentioned the other company. They never mentioned WCW. Although I do remember there was some weird thing. And if you're a wrestling fan, maybe give more information about this. But there was where Vince showed up on the competition's show. I'm talking about like probably pre-WrestleMania, but pre-WrestleMania 1 at least.
Wow.
Yeah. I forget what the circumstances that were around that. He was probably going down to buy them.
I remember when NWO went over to a WCW arena because WWE and WCW were both having events.
I think you're
at the same time.
You're talking about I think you're
in
going
the
to
same
switch.
city.
You're going to switch. I know exactly what you're talking about. That is
It was DX.
DX in like a tank.
Yeah, DX.
How cool was that?
And they left a packed arena to go over to the WCW arena where the fans were there. They were happy to see DX, and they admitted that they got their tickets at a crazy discount.
Oh, I'm sure, probably free.
Just so they could have, just so the WCW could have some seats filled.
I mean, money's got to be a weird thing when you could roll up on an arena full of people in essentially a weaponized vehicle, and people like that's entertainment.
I don't think it was a real tank.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it was a Miata with some cardboard and paint on it.
It's possible.
Yeah,
wrestling does lie to me sometimes.
I mean, it's fake.
I can't believe it.
Paul Finkel invented the term WrestleMania. Finkel was ruthlessly bullied by Vince on and off camera, in that he had his car keyed regularly and once force-fed sardines by the Bushwhackers in a televised promo until he vomited.
I think this. I don't know. Paul, I don't know if Paul is his real name, but when I think of Finkel, I think of only one guy named Howard Finkel, and I'm not sure if that's him. I don't know if Paul's like real name. God help. I would hope that Finkel would be the made up part. But I don't know how that works. But I do think, from what I remember, that Howard Finkel, maybe a relation, maybe the siblings, I don't know, was the first WWE employee. I mean,
maybe.
Oh, WWF. How did I say
all facts are fun facts.
No. I take that back.
When I think Finkel, I think laces out.
Laces out, Finkel.
1992, Dr. Sahorian, a ringside physician, is arrested on 12 counts of steroid distribution and convicted. He did 3 years. Hogan goes on Arsenio Hall.
It wasn't me, brother.
To deny any steroid abuse, but says that he did, in fact, use steroids responsibly, though.
Who gets to decide that term? Like,
I guess his doctor.
Responsibly.
Yeah, his doctor.
It's not like putting like organic on things where there's no real clear definition. You could just put organic on something and it means.
Well, there's somewhat of a definition. You can't
responsibly.
You have to use. You can't have pesticides or anything like that.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I was focusing on the responsibly at this point.
Oh, we're back on topic.
Yeah. I went off on a tangent about vegetables and organic, and now I'm back. And it's your job to bring me back when I go on these tangents. But I'm a little
irresponsibly in that he said he had an arm injury and he used steroids just on that arm to even out the symmetry of his muscles and strength.
Now, even out the, now because now I'm picturing it like instead of a 24-inch python, now I'm picturing like 48-inch, like really uneven.
He was probably 24 on one side and 18 on the other.
24-inch pythons,
but he insisted that his physique is all natural.
Well,
24-inch.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
Yeah. I think he didn't stay that size forever. When he was posting the 24-inch thing and in his promos pulling out a tape measure and like actually measuring it and everything, he didn't stay that big for very long.
No.
He was clearly
on the juice
in the middle of some crazy cycles.
Yeah,
because I think that's the only time I remember him ever being that, the arms being that big. Because I remember they were so much bigger than his head.
Right. Yeah. What a terrible. I mean, listen, God bless him. Good for him. Trying arms bigger than your head, but that just seems
his bicep. Just the
natural order of the world.
Muscle alone was bigger than his head.
I do remember when he came back for like WrestleMania 9. It was like he had put him in the dryer. He had shrunk. But I guess that was post scandal.
Yes. Well, because of this statement that he said on Arsenio, Hogan is pretty much fired. He was pushed way to the back burners, along with a lot of the burliest wrestlers that they had previously in the limelight. And a lot of the smaller physiques came to the forefront.
This is the birth of the new generation. I think that was the tagline that the WWF was going with at the time.
We are going to get there, yes.
Oh, okay.
But yes, it is. During this time also, some behind-the-scenes executives had to get shuffled, some quit, and some had to be fired.
Due to the steroid use or scandal.
Before this next accusation.
Oh,
which is around the same time. Rita Chatterton, the first female referee from what I believe ever in my research, not just in the WWF.
Good for you, Rita.
She alleges that she had forced S with Vince.
I'm sorry to hear that, Rita.
He offered a ride in his limo after an event. He was offering her a contract to be a ref for $500,000. He unzipped his pants and said, "If you want a $500,000 contract, you have to satisfy me."
Damn.
She says that she refused, so he R-worded her right there in the limo.
Yeah, you think you'd be able to get in a limo? Like, you should be able to get in a limo with your boss at work, go to a destination, and not.
She said that they were absolutely talking business and being professional.
I mean, for God's sake.
The way up until the point he was unzipping his pants. She said that it was nothing but business until that exact moment.
I'm sure on his end, superficially business. You know what I mean? Like he this is a facade. Like I mean, I would imagine his entire industry is based on playing a character. I wonder really, like, I honestly, God, wonder really who he really is, because I'm sure so many facets of his personality are a character based on who he's talking to at that moment and what he needs from them.
The lines have been blurred between his character and, well, I shouldn't even say his character yet, but the lines have been blurred between storyline and real life. For example, let's go back to when he was force feeding one of his employees until he vomited.
The sardines, right?
Sardines. Yeah. He's keying his car in real life.
Yeah, I've heard of that he does have like a penchant for weird pranks,
right? And he'll take real life and put it in the ring and vice versa. He's not really a character yet.
Things that are exclusively funny to him.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess that's all that matters to him is what he thinks of the situation.
Now, this story is her story, of course.
Yeah,
and it corroborates with another witness at the time.
Yeah.
Vince took these accusations to Donahue.
That does not seem like now Phil Donahue, for my 90s or younger children, Phil Donahue was a very popular talk show in the well, is it fair to say 80s into the 90s?
It was.
I think he really hit his
popular in the
peak.
80s, but it really peaked and then died in the 90s.
It was like the Jerry Springer, but not as.
They don't know Jerry Springer either.
Oh gosh, not as trashy as Jerry Springer, but it started to get there. It had its trash moments, and I would think that if I'm accused, or I would never be, but I'm just saying, if a person is accused of misconduct of any way in this form, going on to Phil Donahue is probably not what most sane people would do. I'm sure his attorney wasn't like, you know what you should do? You should go on Phil Donahue and talk about this. That'll help. That'll help with the courts.
It was actually brilliant on his evil twisted
God
side.
damn it.
Yeah. He didn't just bring her.
God damn it. Wait, he brought her on the show?
He brought
She agreed?
It had to be under weird circumstances for
Yeah.
these people to agree. They might not have known that there would be other people there. I'm thinking that's the only way I can think of that he would be able to convince these people to show up.
Yeah,
But
I can't imagine.
he brought them onto Donahue and argued his case with disgruntled ex-employees, rival wrestling federation representatives, and Rita Chatterton. And the audience saw the whole thing as just one big circus.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
With
thank
the
God.
Allegations seemingly just another part of this silly storyline.
Oh, well, you see, this is why would you listen? If I'm going to battle someone, and if I'm going to battle, Colin McGregor, well, I'm going to lose to Colin McGregor anyway, but I'm not going to say, hey, man, let's settle this in a UFC ring.
With a foreign object, you think?
I mean, if I had a foreign object, maybe, yeah, like a chair.
Calling you out, Connor.
yeah. But why would anyone agree to a man for whom the camera is like a confessional, like the camera is when he becomes the character that's in his element. I don't know why anyone would agree to that.
Like I said, I don't know either.
Yeah.
I can only speculate, and I would imagine the only way that they would is if they thought that they would be the only ones showing up.
Yeah.
This made WWF's real life crimes all just look like one big jovial spectacle.
It's a shame.
The rape case at this point was never taken seriously again.
Oh, that's a shame.
And was dropped.
That's disgusting.
It is. More recently,
this is what year? What year was the Donahue show?
1992.
I mean, 90. Yeah, I'm a fan at this point. I'm probably not the business side fan. Like, I'm fans of the characters, the wrestlers. I'm probably not watching Phil Donahue.
I was not watching Donahue. Yeah. I remember that he was on.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. You beat me.
Yeah, I don't remember actually caring.
Hey, remember Ricky Lake?
I'm gonna say yes.
She was fun. She was jovial.
Now, more recently, with the cultural differences of today's world, Chatterton reopened up this suit again in 2022, and is believed that Vince settled for about $11 million.
Okay,
which means it wasn't really a laughing matter in Vince's eyes. That whole time.
11 million at this point, though. He's got to be crossing. What 92 now? 93, 94?
Well, it happened in 92. It was reopened and settled in 22, 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misheard.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, he's a multi-billionaire.
This time he's a billionaire.
Yeah. I think he's a billionaire twice over. I feel like that's true. And when I feel like something's true, it is.
Because feelings are proof.
Feelings matter. Feelings are facts. But yeah, I mean, wow, gosh. I mean, the poor woman had to live all those years, probably with at least I would imagine the general public not, or I wouldn't say the legal courts not siding with her until God knows, like 30 years after the incident. What a terrible thing. Just imagine the kind of stuff, it's gross.
Imagine what we haven't learned about.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
This is all stuff that came to light.
Right. Man, I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware at the time. I certainly wasn't aware now until you told me, but I certainly wasn't aware at the time that this kind of stuff was going on. I was aware of the steroid scandal because that was, I don't want to say, was that That was big news. That was big news.
That was big news.
I don't want to trivialize the Rita thing, but that was huge news at the time.
Well, we haven't gotten to the steroid scandal yet.
But
not Vince's steroid
Right.
scandal anyway.
Okay, let's hit it.
Okay. We're still in 1992.
I love it. 92 is a good year.
The Ring Boy scandal. A total. Now, I didn't bother writing down names because this is just such an ugly part of the rise and fall of Vince. The people that know, the people that don't. I encourage everyone to do their own research.
Yeah, I think we're at like a tipping point now where, I mean, the Jimmy Snuka thing certainly stands out as a falling.
That was
measure.
1 year in, and that really, if anything, on Vince's side, is proof to how powerful he was. A year into being.
Is it fair to say that like we're hitting our like? Yeah, he's still rising
as long as he's unscathed.
The elements
he's winning.
Yeah,
I mean that's really what it comes down to.
God,
this man has survived all of these scandals. Wow. Settling outside of court counts as unscathed. You're not paying for your crimes.
It's like a Teflon. He's like Teflon. Nothing sticks.
Now, a total of 3 WWE employees were charged with SAing countless boys.
Ring boys, right?
Ring boys.
Now, what in the heck is a ring boy?
A ring boy is a local boy that helps assemble the ring and lines up the folding chairs around the ring and everything.
I mean, it sounds like a cool gig. You probably get to see all your favorite wrestlers.
They do this really for free tickets.
I would do it.
Yeah, they promised free tickets for the effort.
Not the assault part. I don't think I would stand for the assault part, but I would like the free tickets. You could offer me free tickets, just on assault. Is that fair? I think that's reasonable.
That's fair.
Reasonable.
That's fair. Vince got wind of one of these occurrences and fired that employee.
Okay.
Weeks go by.
First time we hear Vince acting.
No, he fired people before. He fired.
Yes. You're right. I apologize.
Yeah. He fires people in order to look good.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Vince heard of one of these occurrences and fired the employee. Weeks go by, and Vince rehires him as long as he promises to not do it again. Then
I was gonna say
the media gets wind and does an investigation. They learn of a total of 3 men SAing children and reported on the whole scandal. Vince immediately fired all 3 men and denied any knowledge of this, even though
he had fired the guy previously. Yeah,
because of knowledge of this. A few years later, Vince rehired one of them back again.
Do we know who the one is?
I'm not going to say any names. I encourage everyone to do their own research.
I am curious.
It's nothing spectacular.
The Undertaker.
Like I said, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
Not the Undertaker. Kane. I'm just gonna guess wildly. With no.
None of the names jumped out at me. None of the 3 names jumped out at me. So, 1993.
Duke the Dumpster Droshi.
Vince is personally charged on 3 counts with providing his wrestlers with steroids. This is a steroid scandal. Vince is looking at prison time now. 1994. Vince is found not guilty after an 18-day trial. Nonetheless, sponsorship pulls out, fans dwindle, Macho Man leaves.
Oh no,
but
I'm out.
The new era begins.
Now, this I remember this. When you talk about sponsorship, I remember all those watching the Saturday morning show and seeing all the Lord Alfred Hayes doing the announcements. Fruit Stripe scum. I guess maybe they didn't want to be associated with all that stuff.
Fruit Stripe is
Fruit Stripe
going out of business.
They're out. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
it's about time.
I know.
I've never been happy.
I can't
see a company go under. I'm surprised they lasted this long. They lasted so much longer than their flavor.
That's stupid. I know, that stupid zebra. Stupid. That gum lasted for 2 seconds. The company should have lasted for 2 seconds.
But those 2 seconds, it tasted so
pure
good.
Joy. Pure joy.
But that was it, though.
It's like what a love-hate relationship I had with Fruit Stripes gum. I love you for about 2 seconds, and then I hate you.
But every time, even until I was an adult, I still hoped it would last a little bit longer every time I tried one.
That's why you got to keep putting them in. Like you got to,
well, that's their game plan.
I know. You
Yeah.
sly bastards.
Yeah, that's
There's
the
a reason you're going under, and you deserve it. Fruit Stripes can go to hell and die. And yeah, you unpack one, you unwrap one, you put it in, and like the moment it hits your tongue, the flavor is like gone, and you're like,
I remember why I
yeah.
loved you.
Right.
I can never be mad at you. A few seconds later.
I feel like we're oddly describing addiction as well, by the way.
I was thinking of a bad relationship.
Okay. Yeah, this is a bad relationship as well. I hate you so much, but I love you.
The new era begins. The new era is over-the-top characters, insane storylines. They're all playing out for thinning out arenas. This is the time Eric Bischoff joins the WCW and takes on Monday Night Raw and takes Vince head on. Bischoff is credited for signing better talent, better writers, cool characters, and constant top-notch performances.
But I'll counter that a little bit, because a lot of those names that he drew had created those characters in WWF arenas. Like when he calls Hogan down, Macho Man, Slim Jim,
Lex Luger.
Slim Jim was a wrestler now. Okay, he was.
Kevin Nash.
Yeah, Diesel.
Scott Hall.
Razor Ramon.
Hey,
yo.
And he does take Hulk Hogan, but if you remember,
I do remember
Hulk Hogan.
Bash at the Beach. Was that Bash at the Beach? I don't even know.
Yeah. He grew out his whiskers. He had bad guy whiskers.
Turned heel.
Yeah.
He was the third member. You could call this the New World Order of Wrestling. I'll never forget that. The arena film was garbage. I remember watching that.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing. Who's the third man? Who's the third man?
I thought it was so badass when he spray painted NWO on the belt.
Yeah.
Oh,
man,
so cool.
I mean, what a good businessman, you know? He went from saying his prayers and taking his vitamins and shooting his steroids
He gave
to
himself the ultimate bad guy name.
I know it. Hollywood. Yeah. I always thought about the time, because again, as the name needed to be paid for to Marvel, I wondered if the Hollywood Hogan persona was just an attempt to get rid of the Hulk.
No, he was always Hulk. He was Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Hollywood Hulk Hogan, right?
Yeah,
he never dropped the Hulk.
Yeah,
but I think after a while, by the way, he had this. I think it was 2004, maybe. He
public domain.
Or just the agreement ceased. He didn't have to keep paying them. That's it. So I got on that. I know you think there'd be more, but I can't recall the exact facts on his name.
1997.
Brother.
The Montreal Screwjob.
Oh,
you ever heard of this?
Oh, yeah. I watched it live. The Survivor Series, I believe. Could be wrong.
Vince and Bret Hart agree that Bret should go to WCW. Bret, at the time, is currently holding the title belt. Bret will be the first time a men's title holder will leave an organization.
Yes. But not the first time a title holder, right?
There was a woman before.
Medusa, then became Alundra Blaze and went over on Nitro and took that women's title and threw it in the trash.
Yes.
I think she reenacted it. She was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. She reenacted. I think she took it out of the trash.
She apologized. Yes,
she did. Well, I accept your apology, Alundra Blaze.
Well,
you're a good person.
This exact scenario that you're talking about with the garbage can, got Vince pretty upset.
Because panties in a bunch, as you say.
Secretly, Vince had a plan to let Bret Hart go to WCW without the belt. This can and should be its own episode here at Nerds Night Out. Let us know in the comments. During a submission hold applied to Bret, Vince repeatedly, boisterously ordered the finishing bell to be rung, indicating submission that clearly never happened. I remember watching that.
Oh, yeah. And then Bret like spit in his face. He punched him. It was gross, like a loogie.
It was huge. It was hanging.
Yeah.
It had to get wiped away.
Yeah. But dude, listen, he spit in his boss's face. And like in front of millions. In front of the thousands there and millions watching at home. He spit in his boss's face. But I mean, listen, I guess that's where the Mr. McMahon character later comes in.
This is.
Yeah, because he's like the evil boss.
Vince unknowingly creates his WWF character, Mr. McMahon, in his attempt to look like the good guy that did nothing wrong in his own softball interview by his own employee
Jim Ross.
on his own program to his own audience, he still managed to look like the villain.
Yep. I remember that. I remember that whole series of Brett screwed Brett. Those interviews. I remember talking to JR. Like, that was such a cool thing at the time, because this is where, like, they call it kayfabe in wrestling, where
yes, Kayfabe,
where that kind of, like, those lines between what is entertainment and what is real. There's always a very distinct thing. If you and I are, you're a heel and I'm a face, we didn't travel together. We would not be seen together. It wouldn't happen. Just like what we generally when we go to parties. Yeah,
it's called heat.
Yeah, right. So the bad guys get the heat, and we were used to that kind of stuff. But all of a sudden now you're seeing this very clearly blurred line. Well, I shouldn't say, you can't say a clearly blurred line, but you're getting this blurred line between what is real and what is scripted. And Vince is, you got to give him credit as a promoter.
He runs with it.
He runs with it, and he runs well with it. Yeah. It really is.
He stops denying, and accepts being a bad guy in his new persona.
Correct.
Mr. McMahon.
Yeah. And at that point already, right? I think we're past WrestleMania 13 at this point.
Oh, we're deep now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're past WrestleMania.
That was 1997.
WrestleMania 13 was one of the coolest matches, because in terms of, again, like that whole shift, like you're seeing this kind of like this darker shift, because the new generation really was like lighthearted. It had clowns and garbage men and Joint the Clown, right? And then Dink. Yeah. You know, you had all this lighthearted stuff, but then it started to go a little dark. Like, this is where not stunning Steve Austin. He was the ringmaster. He was the ringmaster first. He was a protege of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He had the $1 Million Dream as his finishing move. He was cool to watch. He had been stunning Steve Austin, part of the Hollywood Blondes in the 90s with Brian Pillman.
With Brian Pillman?
Yeah. And
which could be its own story.
Oh, yeah. His son's the wrestler. And he has this great match. He's already Stone Cold Steve Austin at this point, but he's a heel. He had won the King of the Ring. He had done the because Stone Cold said so shtick. He beat Savio Vega. He did all that. And then at WrestleMania 13, we have this ultimate, very rare, very hard thing to do, of a double turn, where he went against Brett, and Brett went in the good guy, came out the bad guy, and Stone Cold did the opposite. He went in the heel, and he came out a face. And it's a very rare thing.
You're right. I wouldn't say face, though.
Anti-hero? Anti-hero is a very popular in the 90s.
Anti-hero was big. People only liked anti-heroes.
Yeah, right. I mean, she's in the comic books at the time. I mean, anti-heroes, Punisher and Ghost Rider and Deadpool, all these cool.
Well, the anti-hero, Stone Cold found a rival in this new Mr. McMahon character.
What a great time.
The new Attitude Era is beginning.
The Attitude Era. Sure.
Vince brings in Mike Tyson to make some cameos. And
I did. I was in there.
Of DX, Dude Love, Mankind, Cactus Jack.
Wait a minute.
Mick Foley.
They're all Mick Foley.
Mr. Sacco.
They're all Mick Foley. That's the shtick. That's the shtick. Dude Love.
I think my favorite wrestler ever, by the way.
Cactus Jack or Dude Love?
No, Mick Foley.
Oh, Mankind.
I have an autographed DVD of Mick Foley and Mr. Sacco.
Oh, nice.
Right?
All right. That's a keeper. Mommy's Mrs. Foley's baby boy.
1999. The XFL is born.
Oh, God.
Then dies.
Yeah.
Then rises again.
And then dies again.
Then dies. But it's risen a third time.
Fingers
crossed.
It rose again when they tried
just now with The Rock.
Yeah, and then COVID hit, and then it died again.
And just now Rock bought it.
And then I think he bought it then.
Oh, he bought it then.
It died, and then he now combined it with some other company now.
Yeah,
right. and it's still not going to work.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's still not going to work. You can combine it with gold. It's still not going to work, guys. Let it die.
According to the outcome of several emotional wins in the the XFL in 2023, many fans are now convinced that the league is just as scripted as WWE.
I say NFL.
I couldn't tell you what those games were,
Yeah.
or anything like that. And I don't know anyone that could, because I don't know anyone that watches.
You don't know any XFL fans? They're everywhere.
I haven't met one yet.
There are dozens of them out there.
To the singles in the audience, and the dozens watching at home.
The handful that may be catching some
the
TikTok.
Tens of people watching at home. 1999 also, Owen Hart dies.
Oh.
He was to be lowered from the rafters by a cable, but when he committed to the descent, the cable wasn't yet secured to anything. He hit the turnbuckle and severed his aorta.
Wow.
That's the injury that killed him instantly. I'm sure.
God,
he fell from a huge distance. So many other injuries, but
they kept that pay-per-view going.
They did. Vince had a crew come in, according to Owen's wife, sweep him up like garbage, and then Vince forced the talent to perform with Owen's blood right there in the ring, with a noticeable dent in the ring.
Good Lord.
In the floor of the ring.
That's freaking, that's obscene.
And you can see that dent. We could, from home, we can see it. It's not like it was just the wrestlers were able to.
It would not have been uncommon, even in the 90s. And we're talking about the late 90s at this point. It would not have been uncommon to have a pay-per-view refunded. And at this point, I do believe that the WWEF, I'm not sure what they were at the time, is running a pay-per-view like on a monthly basis. They should have shut the darn show down and given the man the respect that he deserves. And to hear, I think it was Julie Hart. Is that her name?
I don't remember.
Hey, I'm sorry to say, I should know, but I don't. His Owen Hart's wife. Owen Hart was supposed to come down as the Blue Blazer, which was a character that he had played years before he came out as Owen Hart, as the brother of the infamous Bret Hart from the Montreal Screwjob. The good wrestlers, they will commit to anything. You give them a role and they will play it with gusto. They will play it with every fiber of their being. And the Blue Blazer was silly even by the 90s. Owen knew it, but he was one of those great wrestlers.
He wasn't proud.
No. But you know what? He
played to the gimmick, and he had a lot. You could tell he had a lot of fun with it.
He did.
He didn't need to look like the cool guy to have a good time.
And he was, such a great wrestler, such a great personality.
A little bit of the Blue Blazer. I remember people coming out chanting "Nugget" at him, which was a reference to him being a turd that can't get flushed down the toilet.
Sweet.
He was. They would then chant "Nugget" at him, and it looked like it was fun. At least it looked like it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, they always say with heels and baby faces that if you go out to the ring and you get a reaction, you have won.
Yes.
If you get zero reaction, if the audience is dead to you, then you're not doing your job right. Heels should be booed, or get a reaction, and baby faces should be applauded.
I remember The Rock wearing a shirt that said "Rocky sucks."
Yeah. They started that again.
A bad guy.
Yeah. He's gone back. He's back to a bad guy now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm tired of him being the good guy.
I know. He's a good bad guy. He ruined he ruined the DCEU. Now he's coming to ruin the XFL, and
he can't ruin the XFL.
It's already ruined.
He just can't fix it. But he's not ruining anything.
All right, that's fair. Okay.
2001, Vince buys WCW. The ECW collapses and has a huge influx of all relevant talent and publicity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, all those talents from ECW. I think this is when they start the whole invasion angle in WWE.
Well, they started having like an ECW night. One of the nights was for wrestling was dedicated to.
Oh yeah. They rebranded one of the nights as but it wasn't. It was like ECW in name only.
It really was such a watered down.
Right.
They were not doing the Elks Lodge with all the. They were not playing Smokey Arena.
No. It was
still just WWE.
It was a corporate attempt. It's like I don't know.
Sandman didn't look cool anymore.
No.
No.
They had taken the soul out of what made ECW so fun. Yeah, that's fair.
Sabu coming out to like a dirty ring that's just
nothing
grizzled and cool.
Right. Well, this was polished and shiny.
Yeah.
Vince also was the ECW champion at one point. Okay.
What a jerk.
Wearing a do-rag.
What a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that phase.
Oh, God, it's terrible.
What a jerk. As if we didn't have enough reasons to hate the guy.
I know. I mean, taking the ECW titles now.
Okay. We're still in 2001. The WWF now is the only game in town and is now worldwide. This is the time that Vince, the person, and the character starts to have fun degrading people and his staff themselves.
On live TV, right?
In the ring.
The kiss my ass stuff.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. The women start being degraded.
Oh, yeah.
S-wordly degraded, making them strip down in the ring.
Yes, I remember
like that. Men,
the woman who's now Brock Lesnar's wife, Sable. She essentially wore nothing. I mean, had to wear something, but like pasties.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah.
Trish Stratus, I remember, had to bark like a dog in a bikini or something.
Yeah, probably as the 19-year-old boy in me was like cool, but the 45-year-old man in me now is like, this is weird. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So that was with the women, and the men were being emasculated, like you said. The Kiss My Ass Club, Vince called it.
Kiss My Ass Club, huh?
Yeah, where he would pull his pants down, just the rear end of his pants, and he would be wearing a thong.
Yeah,
and he would have these men
kiss his butt,
kiss his butt cheek.
Yeah. On live TV, I remember that.
TV.
Very wow.
And he didn't just do this as part of the storyline. This was to people he didn't like in real life. If he doesn't like you in real life, you can potentially join this club if you wanted to keep your job.
Well, he would not like me.
He also didn't have a problem firing people.
Right.
So it really was it was real.
Yeah. That's man. Imagine that. You just kind of use your multi-billion-dollar company as an extension of your sick, kind of twisted fetish stuff. Yeah, right.
Cruel. Yeah.
I mean, really, and all of that is largely unnecessary, right? I mean, let's say 100% unnecessary. He could have taken his, at this point, got to be, if not close to being a billionaire. We're talking about early 2000s, right? So he's got to be at that point.
I don't think he's went public yet, but he is the only game in town.
Right. So he could have just stayed home, hired someone to run the company, made millions, enjoyed his time with his wife and his children, and I assume presumably grandchildren at that point. I'm not sure, but this is control. This is control, and that goes back
addictive.
Yeah, well,
it's personal.
I think, like you mentioned earlier, when you talked about the pizza and you talked about the sneezing, these are all. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know if the company makes them seek psychiatric assistance or help, but this seems like textbook examples of narcissistic tendencies, and I don't know what you would call someone who must maintain some semblance of control at all times, but this definitely seems like what would be a textbook definition of it, and probably not the person you'd want to see running a multinational billion-dollar company.
I wouldn't want this guy at this point to be a crossing guard.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
He shouldn't even have that much authority.
Right.
Okay, now we're going to 2002. Steve Austin's wife is beat up after an argument with him. She has a visible black eye.
Deborah McMichael.
She presses charges. Steve pleads no contest, and they soon divorce. Steve gets 1 year probation, community service, and anger management classes. Vince had Mrs. the Texas Rattlesnake sign a non-disclosure agreement because Stone Cold was too valuable to the organization.
Now Deborah McMichael was the
he no doubt paid her for that.
Pardon?
He pays for these non-disclosures. So
yeah. The what do they call them? NDOs and NDAs and non-disclosure agreements. Yeah. Deborah McMichael was the former wife of a football player turned WCW announcer / wrestler. named Mongo McMichael.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. Recently inducted into the Hall of Fame. Not doing well. Big prayers to Mongo.
Shout out to Mongo.
Yep.
I think he's probably named after that character from Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles, yes. Mongo.
Still in 2002, The Plane Ride from Hell.
Mm.
This story is way too long to get into here. Dark Side of the Ring covers it very well, but I'd be more than happy to cover it on this show. I'll let us know in the comments.
Yeah. I'd love it.
2005, Eddie Guerrero dies of a heart attack from an underlying cardiovascular disease. He dies unexpectedly while seemingly in the height of his career. Vince tastefully dedicates an entire episode to Guerrero's memory, but only weeks later exploits Guerrero's death by using his name in obnoxious storylines.
I think it was a Rey Mysterio storyline or something like that, where they used Eddie's name, like maybe JBL or Justin Bradshaw Layfield, the character uses his name in a disrespectful way. But
I remember Mark Henry was forced to say something along the lines of
Mark Henry, huh?
Yeah. He hated doing it.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting my characters mixed up.
He said he was being forced to say it.
Damn.
Said something along the lines of, "I'll spit in your face, and if Eddie was here, I'd spit in his too."
Damn.
Not very nice.
No,
not very nice.
I guess they were hoping the shock would, I don't know, draw ratings or something.
Yeah, no doubt that's what they were going for. What other reason would it be?
Yeah. Just terrible incident. Eddie, you were absolutely right. Eddie was at the prime. I mean, what a fantastic wrestler, great character. From what I understand, really sweet, really nice guy behind the scenes.
Everyone said that. Apparently best friends with Chris Benoit. Yes. And this did hurt. This did hit Benoit pretty hard, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But right now, we're still in 2005.
Gives me the ick.
2005, Lita, Matt Hardy, and Edge have a supposed behind-the-scenes love triangle.
Yeah, right. I believe they
in real life
do, right? In real life, yeah.
Vince learned of this and exploited this real-life vulnerability to create hostility and resentment between the trio. Vince forced a simulated sex scene. I remember this. They brought a bed into the ring. It was ridiculous.
I think I tapped out at this point.
Sex scene with Edge and Lita, and told Lita backstage that she'd be fired if she didn't do it. Lita described this as a forced S-word encounter. 2006, tanning salon employee alleges that Vince showed her nudes of himself while trying to fondle and kiss her. Vince was arrested and charged with simple battery, but McMahon was not criminally charged due to lack of independent evidence.
Yeah, I just don't know how.
He's actually arrested though.
Yeah, that's the big one. And oddly enough,
one of the ones he doesn't pay his way out of.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting. This is the empire of Vinnie Mac unraveling. I like it.
Stephanie McMahon is pregnant with Triple H's baby.
Oh, Paul Levesque. I am terrible at French names.
No, his name is Hunter Hearst Helms.
No, that's a character. That's a character. It's a character. But now they've been calling him that on TV lately. Paul Triple H Levesque.
Well, yeah. Now that he's one of the owners of.
Yeah, he's the COO or something like Chief Operating Officer.
That sounds about right. I'm not sure.
Well, remember they're not in the last couple of months. They went from being a private company. Or not, well, they were a publicly traded company, but with Vince still firmly in control, like probably like, I don't know how stocks and stuff work.
He had the majority. Okay, 51% or more.
But now nothing. Now they are TKO, right? It's UFC and WWE and probably other companies as well, I would imagine. But they are one company now.
Vince proposes that, this is according to Stephanie's interview.
Oh yeah, I saw this one.
Vince proposes that they both say that the father of Stephanie's baby is Vince.
Perfectly logical.
She, of course, declines the offer. So some time goes by. Vince comes back and suggests that maybe her brother Shane should be the father.
Highly illogical.
Do you think? I mean, you think she changed her mind?
Yeah, that's much better.
It's just my blood brother,
not my father, my brother. I get it now. It makes perfect sense. Let's run with that angle. Thank God. She had the wherewithal. Yeah, I don't. Thank God she had the wherewithal to be like, no, I don't want to do that. Imagine you growing up as that child, like, what's going on? You look up like your mom on YouTube or WWE Network or whatever. It's on Peacock now, but you look it up and you're like, oh my God, what has happened? Thank God. This is the ramblings of an insane human being. Imagine putting your family on stage and making a spectacle of them for essentially like
names.
a really sophomoric joke, you know?
The jokes never really had a great punchline.
No,
It was
I
a
agree.
really long build up, and it was just insanity. Just to get off topic for a second here, I
Okay.
remember when the fabulous Moolah
Oh yeah.
came back, and she had a romantic
Oh wait, hold on. You're thinking
Mark Henry.
not Fabulous Moolah. She had like oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. May Young.
Is it Mae Young?
May Young had the Mark Henry love angle. She
And
had her baby, but then
gave
turned
birth
out to a hand.
to a hand,
Yeah.
a human.
No joke. I'm not gonna lie.
hand.
I'm not gonna lie. I still to this day I don't get it.
The build up to that was weeks.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the gestational period for a human hand is only weeks.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. I guess that was. I guess
single digit.
They
weeks.
prematurely. But I don't. I just.
It was an adult hand, by the way. It wasn't even a baby.
Yeah.
It was an adult.
I just don't get it. I never found it funny. I still. I mean, am I missing a joke? Am I supposed to like understand that it's maybe just stuck up there in the first place?
This is what they were working with at the time. This is around that time.
This is when like Kane, his girlfriend dies, and Triple H goes into the casket like crazy, like obscene thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Triple H wears a thong.
Makes sense.
And
sure,
makes
sense.
And he pretends to assault SA
I mean, what
the person
Yeah.
in the casket who's actually alive. They put a living person in the casket because it would be crazy to do it to a dead person.
I mean, why would you have a mannequin?
But apparently they were in a real funeral home for that scene.
You know, nothing's funnier than necrophilia.
They were.
I I have no idea what in the world made them think that that was gonna like. I remember watching some of that stuff, going, "What? I don't get it. I still don't get it." And you know what? This is like one of those things. Like sometimes when terrible things happen on the news and people say, "Oh, can you imagine?" I go, no, I can't imagine that. I actually feel pretty good that I can't imagine someone doing something like that, because I'd like to think that if I can imagine someone doing something like that, whatever that terrible thing is,
it's not in the wheelhouse.
Something's wrong with me. I shouldn't be thinking like that. You know, like, oh, Ed Gein. Yeah, I get it. I get what, no, I don't understand.
You know why he put all the needles there? I get it. I get why he put those needles there.
I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty cool not getting it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a word from our sponsors. I'm going to take a pee break. I have to pee. What a wonderful sponsor.
Thank you. Thank you for investing in our show, sponsor.
2007. Vince fakes his own death as part of a character storyline.
Oh, I should put the Fruit Stripes commercial in there.
No.
I'm doing that.
Don't do that.
It's got to be public domain. They're out of business.
Actually, now you say it, I'm thinking about it. It would be funny.
Well, they're going to sue me? They're out of business. Sorry, I cut you off. So if you're watching this now, I did that.
But you're not going to edit this out because I'm not going to read what I just
read. Right. But you just saw a Fruit Stripes commercial because I thought of that idea at that moment.
Vince fakes his own death as part of a character storyline, and some real news outlets report it as if it's a real story.
Oh, he exploded, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Vince unpredictably breaks the storyline in revealing himself to be alive to announce and mourn the death of Chris Benoit and his family.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. This is one of those moments where, like, I remember watching this episode It was only a short amount of time after the Eddie tribute,
It
which
felt
was
like it.
it felt like days, but it was got to be months,
I
if
think it
not.
was 2 years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
but it
24
felt
months then.
it felt like it was just one after the
Right.
other when it happened.
I remember bawling my eyes out watching this.
I
It was
cried
so
too, yes.
sad, and the whole episode,
It was rough.
rough.
It
Yeah,
was really rough to watch.
tributes to people. Tributes to at the time Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit is found dead in his home, which could be its own episode here at Nerds Night Out.
Yeah, oh
It's
yeah.
on the
Good
comments.
Lord, yeah.
But to keep it quick, after the WWE dedicates an entire broadcast to the remembrance of Benoit, an updated announcement regarding Benoit's death is revealed. Benoit committed double murder suicide. Before killing himself, he murdered his wife, Nancy, and their 7-year-old son. In Benoit's autopsy, it was discovered that his brain was so severely damaged that it resembled the brain of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
Jeez.
From the constant head injuries he suffered during his career, he had developed chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Encephalopathy.
That's
Encephalopathy.
that's Big Bird's imaginary elephant friend. Encephalophagus.
It makes sense that he had this kind of brain damage because one of his signature moves was the diving headbutt off the top turnbuckle.
And he made that essentially move, which is inherently dumb. I mean, it's inherently dumb. Like your face and your head as a weapon, right? But it's inherently dumb. I'm not going to lie. I know, I'm sure
his finishing move either.
I'm sure there are wrestling purists that will be like, oh, that was a flying headbutt. It was spectacular. He did make something very dumb look like art. But I mean, Hulk Hogan always talks about his finishing move, the leg drop, right? And how like years and years later, his back and his hip. And he always talked about how it was one of his biggest mistakes that he had these 24-inch pythons and his wrestling finishing move had nothing to do with his arms. And it was a mistake. And I'm guessing that, I don't know. Does the WWE still allow like these kinds of head moves? I'm not even sure. If not,
have you seen Jeff Hardy? He's
actually, I just saw him recently. He got knocked out. He got knocked out in the ring just recently, like a week or two ago. He was flying off the ring. I mean, but he should stop. He should stop. Stop, Jeff Hardy. Your time has passed. It's like 40 years now. Give it a break, man. Sit down. You don't have to fly. Sit down. Relax. It's good advice.
With this passing and the news of his CTE.
Okay.
Vince announces the enactment of wellness policy. It's called the enactment of wellness policy in order to ensure the safety of his talent. But Vince is now in the spotlight by the U.S. House Committee of Energy and Commerce. And I don't know what they are either, but they stepped in. They stepped in and they asked Vince about his wellness policy.
When I think like steroid use and multiple head injuries, I think
the U.S. House Committee of Energy and Commerce.
Absolutely. That's my first thought. I'm like, why aren't these guys stepping in? Thank God they're there.
Well, when they stepped in, they asked him about it. And Vince replied in a letter to the House that it was just public relations. It was just PR. In his own words, quote,
the wellness policy is just public relations? Oh, exactly. Terrible. I'm aware of the wellness.
I just nodded, but this is a podcast.
Yes, he nodded. Yes. He nodded. I'm aware of the wellness policy because occasionally you'll see wrestlers. They don't promote it too much on their shows, but you'll see it on their website. They're like, Samoa Joe, and they'll give his real name and they'll say like violation of wellness policy. And God knows what it means. Could mean anything, I guess, from like maybe marijuana use to steroids. So I don't know. I don't think they generally tell you, but and then I think there's like a 3 strikes policy where like you're out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, in Vince's letter, as a reply to that House, in his own words, and I quote, 2 words, public relations.
Damn.
That's it. I do not feel any responsibility for anyone, whatever their age is, whoever's passed along and has bad habits and overdoses or drugs. Sorry. I don't feel any responsibility for that.
I guess that falls under the purview of the wrestlers being independent contractors, where they are not WWE employees. They are, and that's how he legally gets the distance. But geez, but morally, for God's sakes, that's just inhumane. I mean,
Well, I guess convincing yourself
yeah.
of this is how you will sleep at night.
Okay. So,
2011, a manager of a spa accuses Vince of S-word abuse.
a manager of what?
A spa.
Oh, a spa.
A former spa manager claimed that Vince McMahon assaulted her at a Southern California resort that she worked at.
Yeah.
She filed a lawsuit against him, but Vince has refused to pay any settlement so far.
So she filed and won?
She filed, and so far there's no settlement.
Boy.
I'm pretty sure the manager of this spa that I just named is one of the people that's listed in 2022 when we get there.
So you would think that the fame, the money, he's a relatively, he probably even at this point, 2007, he is well built. He would we're talking about he's older at this point. He's in his 60s probably, I'm going to guess. I don't know. But
we could ask our producer for the information.
We could ask our producer for the information. Jimmy, you want to get on that? Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you. You guys have yet to meet Jimmy. He's a great guy.
What's the question?
How old is or was Vince McMahon?
He was born in 1945.
Oh, I'm not doing math. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. He's old, right? But at this point,
wait, the producers just told me that he's 78 years old as of today.
But he's a billionaire. He's well spoken, probably well dressed. He
everyone recognizes him at this point.
Everyone, like, I would imagine that there are men, women that would love to be with him. They would love to be with him. I'm not excusing the adultery. I'm not excusing the philandering. I'm not excusing that. But I'm just saying willfully, people would willfully want to be with this guy. This has got to be, and I'm far from a psychologist, so I'm not going to pretend, but this has got to be part of this insane control thing.
Ego, yeah.
Where his ego, his desire to control everything, to be the master of everything is
just can't control your desires.
Oh my God.
Really what it comes down
absurd.
Yeah. So how are you really living your life? Like, this is what comes out.
I'm not sure he is living his. I think he's living a life, but who is he? Who is he? I don't think
this is exactly who he is. It's pretty consistent.
Villainous.
At this point, it's very consistent.
Yeah.
This is who he is.
I would imagine that he has, due to his time on TV, due to his terrible upbringing, and again, not excusing anything, and I think we all understand that money warps reality. I think this is, I'm not sure he would probably even understand who the hell he is. Did you see him on TV when he purchased, or excuse me, when WWE and UFC combined under the TKO banner? Did you see his like villainous
the
mustache?
Fester Gold.
Oh my God! Like, what?
When did he get black eyebrows?
I don't know. It was absurd.
It looks like, remember Men in Black when the guy was wearing what's the guy like the Hank suit or the Harvey suit?
Yeah.
He kind of looks like a guy looking. Sorry, it kind of looks like a guy wearing a Vince suit.
Maybe
it's a little bit looser. 2012, the bullying of Jim Ross. He bullied Jim Ross behind the scenes and also in the ring. Ross had 13 inches of his intestines removed in a surgery.
Real surgery?
Actual surgery.
Damn.
So Vince assumes the character and tastefully names himself Dr. Heine.
This is a 2-year-old writing jokes.
Dr. Heine.
This is a 2-year-old writing jokes. There's no reason for this to be on TV.
He puts Ross in a fake hospital bed and has him bend over and talk about embarrassing things.
This is Jim Ross, who's been repeatedly hired, fired, suffers from Bell palsy.
He didn't want this information to be public.
No.
Vince probably got wind of it because he was probably telling his boss why he couldn't come to work.
Good Lord.
I don't know this, ladies and gentlemen, but this is what I'm thinking. Yeah. But I do know that he said that he did not want this information public.
Vince is like, it'll make great TV.
Vince had Ross join the uncelebrated Kiss My Ass Club.
Jeez.
And this is also when Vince pulls down. I'm sorry. This is when Vince pulls out his pants. He also did a very tasteful impression of Ross of Ross's Bell's palsy.
Yeah.
By distorting his face and pulling his lip down, and talking about how he only speaks out of one side of his head.
But Bell's palsy has left Jim Ross with like a partial paralysis of his
poor
face.
guy got the Bell's palsy after his mother died.
Stress induced.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a shame. But it's comedy for Jim Ross. It's for Vince McMahon. Jim Ross's pain and suffering is comedy for him. I tell you, what a sadistic. I mean, this is one of those moments. I think, like, as we're keep on discussing the philandering, the assault, the rampant drug use. No
one laughed.
Yeah, I remember
watching it.
The humiliation of other human beings for his own delight. It's disgusting.
2014, Vince signs with Saudi Arabia, a 10-year deal.
Oh, yes. The Crown Jewel, I believe, the Crown Jewel event it's referred to.
2018, after a Saudi performance, the Saudi Arabian president holds all 200 WW employees hostage because Vince owed him $2 million. So Vince, knowing exactly what's happening and why, walked right past them all, got on his private jet, and left him behind.
See you later, chumps.
They were sitting on the tarmac, confused, not being told what's happening for 6 hours. But they were being told that it was under direct orders of the president.
I mean, how scared must you be?
Terrifying.
I don't care how tough or
terrifying.
I don't care how big your pythons are. You've got to be petrified at this point that you're being held by the president of a country.
You're a political prisoner.
Yes, right.
Somehow.
Right. Because
and your boss just got to walk right by.
Yeah, I mean, he really wanted that belt. he was really going to challenge Roman Reigns right there.
2019. AEW, Vince's only potential significant competition, begins and hires all of WWE's talent that was either forced out or quit.
Yeah, Tony Khan. I think Tony Khan is the owner of All Elite Wrestling.
WWE fans getting tired of the same old thing start to gravitate towards AEW. John Oliver, a comedian reporter, ousts Vince for not providing health care for his talent. Vince responds by saying that he emphasizes the importance of his employees to utilize his wellness policy. The same policy he openly called a PR stunt.
If you haven't seen that, John Oliver,
I have not.
Oh my God! First of all, John Oliver, he could take anything. He could take. I think he took like koala chlamydia and turned it into like a 40-minute extravaganza. He is masterful. He does amazing research, and the one that he did, the show that he did on the WWE, was beautiful. And if you didn't walk out of that watching it, saying to yourself, damn, like Vince is even more of a monster than I thought, and those wrestlers should unionize. You missed the point of that program. He did such a good job of it.
Well, Jesse the Mind talks about the time he almost was able to get WWF to unionize.
Right, he's Jesse the Mind now, right? He changed. That's right. He's not the Jesse the Body. He's Jesse the Mind. I forgot about that. Yeah.
2022. Stephanie McMahon announces her leaving of the WWE for what looks like no reason at all.
Now we are leaving Earth for no reason at all.
With hindsight, it's clear what her reasoning was. This is when the Wall Street Journal publishes Vince paid $3 million in hush money to an ex-employee that he had an affair with.
$3 million worth of hush puppies.
Then, weeks later, the Wall Street Journal finds another $9 million for a total of 12.
9 plus 3.
A total of 5 women being paid hush money.
$12 million
to 5 women.
5 women in hush money. What are we hushing them up about?
Vince McMahon stuff. Because they're women, we already know.
Okay, so this is assault we're talking about.
This is assault we're talking about.
Damn.
Vince announces the most relevant statement that a billionaire CEO can make. The epitome of a showman, a man who has survived countless scandals, the master of the spectacle. The entire world is waiting to hear from him. And he responds with a short tweet.
What does he write?
He quits.
Oh, get out of town. I remember that. That I didn't know that. I knew that was in response. I just wrote, I quit. What do you write?
The master of the three-ring circus.
Yeah.
Big spectacles, entrance music,
He used
fireworks.
He used the 3-syllable quit. I quit, right? Is that 3 syllables? I quit. That's 2.
In his tweet, he said, at 77, time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever.
Yeah.
Together.
No, maybe not together.
Hashtag WWE. Hashtag thankful.
I like the company. I like wrestling.
He hashtagged it.
I'd like, if I was the WWE, I'd like, don't do that. Can you remove that hashtag?
Right?
Yeah. We're kind of like, we want to distance ourselves from you.
He hashtag thankful.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a PR, like you said, it's a PR shtick.
Am I wrong when you hashtag something? Other things come in that hashtag comes up. So there's going to be like a soccer mom at a church gathering.
Checking out WWE, I guess.
And there's Vince.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm glad he quit. I'm sorry that it took decades for that to happen. But I'm glad it's his kind of reign of terror, at least in the organization.
Goodness. Yes, finally.
We are thankful.
6 months later, he returns.
Okay, then.
Yeah, through a hostile team.
Oh, yes, that's right. God, geez. And this is all recent stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had his cronies take over the majority of the board to vote him back in, since he still had the majority of the stock.
How crazy. You're a goddamn billionaire.
He's doing billionaire shit.
Yeah, right. Just 6 months. For 6 months, you couldn't find something to do, an island to buy, a country to buy. You couldn't couldn't.
This is how coups are done.
Open a Waffle House.
This is a hostile takeover. Yeah. Nothing friendly was done about this. In order for his cronies to get in place, he had to do billionaire things to get them in place.
Right.
It's not a move good guys do.
Bad guys.
Bad guy. This is how coups are done.
Yeah. I just came up with this thought. This is how Bond villains. This is how Bond villains are. Bond villains. This is how they flex. This is This is just him putting in place. He's just a power play. Just insane. I just thought of that. Oh my.
You know what? You really are catching the gravity of the situation.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, he is a Bond villain, but he's like. Who's the Donald Pleasance Bond villain? The one stroking the cat. That's him.
Mr. Dr. Evil.
No, that's really yeah. Well, close enough. Well, I can't think it was but he's pure evil, man. I just don't get it. And the fact that he couldn't just stay away, he had to incite this coup and come back as a Bond villain is insane. There, I said it.
2024.
That's now.
This latest scandal, I need to reiterate that this is it's heartbreaking. It's crazy. There are so many emotions that come along with this. It's
disgusting confusion on my 2 top ones.
It's so over the top.
Yeah.
Some of these things too, just outrageous.
Not in a Sly Stallone turning your hat kind of over the top way. Well, that's cool. Not this is like over the top World War I going into the trenches, not coming back kind of way.
This is in the same light as Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, that's
Bill
fair.
Cosby.
That's fair. Yeah, Bill Cosby's looking at this and going, "Damn."
Everything we say from this point on has been in the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
Janelle Grant, currently a former staffer in WWE, who was originally named in the 2022 Wall Street Journal article. So she was named as one of those 5 earlier when Stephanie McMahon left.
Part of the $13 million payout of the 5.
12, but yes.
I'm making it 13 now. I added $1 million. They
13,
deserve it.
13 sounds more nefarious.
Yeah, they own it. 13 is they are. I play with math.
Janelle Grant files a crazy sounding lawsuit against Vince, stating in a 60-page suit that he forced her into S-word relations.
Fair.
Not only with Vince, but a plethora of Vince's buddies. Repeatedly.
Yeah, that's Jesus.
That become more and more violent and more demeaning over time. This is a good time to say that now is when we find out that Vince's wife, Linda, had quietly separated from Vince back in 2022.
Now, Linda had
She might have had to sign her own disclosure.
a guy. I would imagine.
We don't know this. It was all done so quietly. But that's what the non-disclosures are. The Wall Street Journal reported Vince agreed to pay her $3 million in hush money as part of her non-disclosure agreement. We're talking about Jeanette.
Right.
Vince only paid her $1 million. He did not pay the entire $3 million. He agreed to pay her $3 million as part of a non-disclosure agreement, and Vince only paid $1 million. So he fucked around and he found out. Vince broke his own non-disclosure agreement.
How so?
He didn't pay.
Just by not paying.
By
okay.
not
Okay.
Paying,
okay.
By not paying, Grant is now allowed to legally.
Gotcha. Oh, good for her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He originally said that he would give her a job if she slept with him. She was given a job of relative prominence within the company, having no experience or history in the wrestling business. His demands became more and more degenerative over time. She continued to satisfy her boss. I imagine that she thought that she would get fired if she didn't. That's really what a power dynamic like this implies.
Exactly. That is that. I mean, this is crazy imbalance of power here. Absolutely.
And that's not to mention that it's at this point, it's very well documented that this is the atmosphere Vince
has created. Yeah, right.
Let me also mention the fact that we don't know her official age. It hasn't been
adult.
She is an adult.
Okay.
But we don't know her official age. We are to assume, I don't want to use the word, imply with the facts that are given that she's a young woman.
Yeah.
And by looking at the one picture that's of her on the internet, we're to think that she's in her mid to low 20s.
Yeah. I mean, I do hope this young lady is able to, because this is still an ongoing thing. I do hope that she is able to bring down. I mean, he's quit as a result. He's quit as a result of all of this.
We're getting ahead of ourselves right now.
Oh, I do tend to do that. I do tend to get ahead of myself.
According to her documents, she at the time hadn't had an opportunity in her life to get a significant job yet because she had been caring for both of her ailing parents who had recently deceased.
Okay.
Once they passed on is when she met Vince. The suit implies that she was young, vulnerable, and naive.
Young and needed the money, essentially.
Young and didn't know any better.
Okay. I mean,
she needed a job, naturally. But that's the suit is still very new. We don't know what the actual facts are at this point.
I tell you what, I mean, I'm gonna say that whatever it is, whatever the circumstances are, whatever led her to be there, whatever brought her to this position, no human being deserves what happens to her.
No.
You know, we could theorize, and I'm sure the court hearings will produce any number of different things that led to it, and I'm sure the McMahon camp will do the same thing. But at the end of the day, you know, this is a human being being treated essentially, and as he mentioned earlier, like
we
garbage.
Haven't even gotten started yet.
Yeah,
we haven't even gotten started yet. The way Vince breaks the ice to culminate this relationship is that he offered sex relations.
Yes.
In order to get this job. And it soon degenerates to the R word, and human trafficking is added to the suit. He showed her. He showed graphic photos and videos of her and both of them together to his buddies inside and outside the company. So he's not. It's a workplace thing. It's an out of the workplace thing.
So I would imagine every single person who potentially saw these videos is probably going to be subpoenaed. And
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. Right.
Yeah. He used her and her videos and photos to entice a former unnamed UFC champion to come back to the WWE.
Yeah.
Circumstantial evidence. It's Brock Lesnar.
Well, I think in the time, like
he's been arrested.
And they've removed the WWE, as I mentioned, does that like Stalin-esque removal of people from their history, and they just released a game called WWE 2K24, in which both Vince and Brock Lesnar were playable characters, and they've since been wholly removed from the game. And I'm sure they're not even going to mention either of them on TV, at least. I think Vince occasionally still gets name dropped. I guess it's too hard to kind of remove that, but Brock
I
has not been mentioned.
You could.
Yeah, I can't imagine either. Right.
Brock has been arrested for this.
Yeah.
She was expected to perform S-word acts during work hours. She was expected to perform these acts before work.
Jesus.
And she was expected to perform these after work. It seems, with the information provided, Vince may have had an actual R-word room.
Oh, yes, the R room. I've heard of this.
In his company building. I think the Titan Tower, I think it's
Titan.
called.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I think they've done remodeling, by the way, since this accusation. Just saying.
If you have a room dedicated for something, it might not be dedicated, but if you have a room where this regularly happens,
yeah.
How could you work there and not know?
Right. That's a great question, and I'm gonna guess the answer is they did.
I would have to assume this too.
Right. It may be a multi-billion-dollar company, but those offices are not that large. You have to be somewhat aware of what's going on.
Yes. It's his staff.
People talk, and he seems to be gleefully showing videos. People are talking. Yes. People know. Probably NDAs kept them quiet, but people talk.
He forcefully used dildos on her, causing her bruising and bleeding. Bleeding, bro. What's outrageous is he named these dildos after professional wrestlers.
Yeah, but I can't.
There are jokes there.
Yeah. I would imagine, like, the crazy thing is, like, let's say it's like Andre the Giant. Let's say
we're not going to do that though.
No, I'm just saying. Let's say it's Andre the Giant, and let's say someone who's alive. Can you imagine that? And like one's named like Stone Cold, and he has to go and try. Like, no, I had nothing to do with this. Like, I wonder if they get drawn into this because of this crazy thing.
I saw that he named these things according to the color.
Oh God. Okay. Gotcha.
But it didn't get into any other detail.
All right.
There are a lot of details, ladies and gentlemen, that I am keeping out.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair, because this is not that
gruesome and gory and disgusting and vile as this sounds. I still edited out a lot.
We're not that kind of show.
John Laurinaitis, who is the talent coordinator, and Vince,
Johnny Ace,
on multiple occasions apparently held her down while the other had his way.
Good Lord.
According to the statement in the Wall Street Journal and her suit, they would yell things like "no" means yes. And now Laurinaitis' attorney says that John is not an assailant in this case, but a victim.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's going to be all. I don't. What I mean, when I say I'm sure, I mean
because he would be fired if he didn't rape Grant. Is what his lawyer is saying.
But then get fired, man. Right. Then get fired.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, it's okay. Get fired. Go to the police. Do something. You don't have to join the villain. You don't have to join the villain. You have choice. I can't stand when they make it seem like the bad guys didn't have a choice, that we had to do this thing. And that's like almost a Nazi-esque kind of like cop out.
Following orders.
It's just following orders. And, hell, even the German military today, even American military, if these things are if you have an order that's morally objectionable, you don't have to follow it.
Holding her down. Yeah. And saying no means yes.
I mean, it's absurd. It's just absurd. I don't know what, and you know what's going to be even more absurd. You know it is, because when this goes to criminal, and God willing it will, and these guys are hopefully found guilty, it's I'm gonna guess that no one will ever be happy with, including myself, with the amount of time that they get, if they do get any time,
He's a billionaire.
Right. I know that the money. Listen, I'm not even going to pretend.
What do they call it? Club fed?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and that'll be the hardest time that he would.
It's going to be.
What happened to Epstein? Like he was still allowed to leave and go to work in his office, and he was still hiring prostitutes to come meet him in his office for 8 hours a day.
Oh, actually, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I'm woefully in the dark about that kind of stuff.
When these guys have that kind of money, you know, they don't see justice.
There's no walls.
Okay, back to more ugly truths.
Oh God.
Well, speculated truths, ladies and gentlemen. This is all still very new.
Oh yes.
We don't know.
And like we said at the top of the show, this is not definitely do your own research into this, because we are, even though we're not sugarcoating anything, but certainly walking a fine line, because a lot of these at this point are all accusations that have not been proven in a court of law as of yet.
Vince apparently defecates on her head during a threesome.
Okay, see, that's not good.
He orders the threesome he orders the act to continue while he washes himself up. He tells him to finish until completion. Mm-hmm. Vince, we find out, didn't get forced to pay that hush money because she demanded it. He threatened her. She didn't say, "Pay me, and I'll sign a non-disclosure." He forced. He demanded the non-disclosure, saying that if she doesn't sign it, he's going to release all of the pornographic material he has of her. Not to mention, he's got a team of lawyers just ready to ruin her.
Good Lord, that's the epitome of evil,
isn't it? Though.
Yeah.
She was told to sign the NDA, and he'll give her $3 million. And he paid her $1 million.
Right. Okay.
He then stopped making the payments, so he broke his own NDA.
The billionaire, the multi-billionaire. NDA. He couldn't even do this right.
It appears that the reason it stopped getting paid was because Vince, the billionaire, as you just said, wasn't the one ever paying.
Oh, was it Johnny Ace?
It was the WWE Corporation itself.
Oh, never mind. I would never have guessed the corporation.
It was a publicly traded corporation. Okay. Paying hush money NDAs. This is very illegal, by the way.
Yes. I would imagine. I would hope
money so. NDAs.
I hope so.
To cover R word. So when the WWE merged
with UFC, TKO,
right, and now it's TKO. It was TKO that refused to pay.
Oh, good. TKO, good guy.
Now, well, we don't know what their motivation was.
I hope they are good guy.
Did they refuse to pay because they didn't know where the money was going, and they were aware that they were a publicly traded company and they shouldn't do that? Were they aware that if they didn't pay, that they knew what was going on the whole time and that it would ruin Vince?
Right.
And Vince did come in through a hostile takeover. This would get him out. Like, what was their motivation, or are they playing stupid? Did they really not know?
I would hope that they didn't. I would hope that they didn't. I mean, I hope they would not get involved in a merger with a company knowing that this is going on.
They wouldn't get involved knowing it went on. They would find out after the fact.
Right. That's right. So I hope that TKO does come out as like a almost a heroic sort in this, that they found out about this and made sure it came to an end. I hope so. I'm hoping, because I'm praying for a good guy somewhere in here, someone to do the right thing. And, you rarely have it. You rarely have it in these instances.
That's true.
Yeah.
If I have permission, I'd like to read some of the text messages in my best Vince McMahon voice.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
I encourage everyone to do their own research, but really look at these text messages at your own risk.
Yeah.
They are very detailed. They're long. They're rambling. They're disgusting.
Right.
And they're written in such a juvenile, stupid way. It does not look like not just a billionaire. It doesn't look like a grown man wrote this.
No, I'm around middle-aged students all the time. At students, I don't know what a student is, but I'm around middle-aged students all the time. They, I see the text messages they send.
You said middle-aged students?
Did I say it? Middle-aged students?
Said it twice.
40-year-old, 50-year-old students. I'm getting delirious. But I can't believe I said it twice. That's great. I got to listen to that again. But the
Edit that out.
middle school students and even middle school students write texts more coherently, and thank goodness nowhere near as graphic as they're mostly talking about Fortnite. But I was actually in disbelief when I first saw the text because I thought it was almost written by like an AI programmed to be stupid.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it because it is words are misspelled.
Yeah, like grossly, like
yeah.
Not even, it's. But this is an insight. I really do hope that as part of this, there is a psych evaluation, because I would love to see.
We'll never get it.
Oh yeah, I would hope we
this
would.
This is a billionaire we're talking about. This is not a normal person.
But
you get a psych eval on the text.
No,
because that's the most we're gonna get.
I mean, the text itself is a psych eval. You know,
it was the text that inspired me to cover this in the first place. To be honest, I have to admit.
Yeah, you were obsessed.
It was the first thing that I heard of. It's the first thing that I saw, and it all was just so jovial at the time, because we didn't have. At the time, I didn't have all of the facts.
Well, yeah, you didn't have a foundation to build on. Sure, that's fair.
Yeah, so with the naming of the dildos, and just his weird vernacular, like 12-year-old vernacular.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's an insult to 12-year-olds,
right? Now, we have to ask ourselves, how many other people has Vince done this to?
Oh yeah, I do hope that this is the catalyst for bravery. You know, sometimes you hear about these horrible stories about abuse, and then people come forward with their testimony, and I can't tell you, it drives me nuts, because I hear people like attacking the victims, right? And
I don't think we're in that kind of society this decade.
Oh, I hope you're right, brother. I hope you're right, because I can't believe they're coming out now. They're coming out like, yeah, they're dying. They're dying to come out and have the media scrutinize them and embarrass them. Yeah, they're dying for that. So
no one wants to explain to their children, that they've been taken advantage of.
Right. So I do hope this is the catalyst for. And you know what? How about this? That's a loaded statement, because I do hope this is the catalyst for others to come out, but at the same time, I don't want there to be others. If that makes sense.
I would.
Does that make sense to you?
I do.
Okay.
It does make sense. We of course we don't want there to be any more victims.
Right.
It's just so hard to imagine that there aren't.
Yeah. There's got to be. And I, from what I understand, like TKO is now trying to erase Vince, and I mentioned that earlier too. From
same
all
way as Benoit.
Yeah, same. Well, listen, if you're going to erase Benoit for doing a disgusting thing, a terrible thing that involves the ultimate, death, that he murdered, he murdered innocent people. He took his own life. So if you're going to erase him for just obvious reasons, you have to erase Vince as well. So you have a lot of people that were removed posthumously. China was removed for a while. She went into.
She was reinstated.
She was reinstated, right? Oh, correct. She was reinstated posthumously. You're right.
And then,
but in her life, I mean, she also got a raw deal too. She had a relationship with China. Excuse me. She had a relationship with Triple H. Stephanie hones in on a man. She gets booted.
X-Pac.
Right.
Well, they did the video.
She did a video.
Which is it wasn't leaked or anything like that. It was a professional video.
Oh, was it? I thought it was leaked. Yeah.
It was.
Well, I guess. Yeah.
With a producer leaking it.
And then she played She-Hulk in an adult version of the Avengers. Just so we're clear. I heard.
Oh, she actually did. She really?
Yeah. Like one of those parody slash.
What site was it on? So I know not to check.
I don't know.
By accident.
But I don't know. But I mean, there's been a lot of things like Hogan for his racist comments. secretly recorded during one of the private conversations. But then I think he had to do like an apology tour. He went behind the scenes to all the WWE wrestlers and apologized for what he had done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, was that a drunken rambling or was that I don't remember. I don't remember
I remember hearing it.
Yeah. Or am I
sounded,
confusing?
It sounded like, I don't know if it was a drunken rambling, but it definitely sounded like it was happening at like a backyard barbecue.
Didn't he like also Hogan? Like this is the travesty of getting older. And I, not to tie it to comic books, but I have to. This is why I always tell people that it's easy to root for comic book superheroes, because like for Iron Man, Superman, because they are fictional. They can embody whatever qualities we want them to have. Whereas real life heroes, these guys that we're talking about, these wrestlers that we're talking about, China, Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon, they were heroes to us, and maybe we wouldn't use those words, but we certainly idolized
as a child.
Yeah. And look how far they have fallen. I mean, look how this is the danger of putting our faith in these people for whom we don't know what they are. Essentially, the TV is a weird thing, right? Because we create this relationship with a character that we're seeing on our screen, who in turn never reciprocates. They have no idea who we are. They never will, nor do we really know who they are.
I like to say I love our audience.
We love you guys. Yeah. So you guys, you know what? And you can meet us. We're approachable. And
he is.
We have no scandals. Not yet. Not yet.
That have been released.
Yeah. I mean, the only scandal that we've come up with so far is that I enjoy cookie dough, uncooked cookie dough, raw cookie dough, whereas you enjoy a freshly baked cookie, which I'm not opposed to a freshly baked cookie, but I will tell you that I do enjoy a good chunk of cookie dough.
I'm calling 911.
Don't do that.
I'm calling the cops.
Don't do that. There's absolutely no reason to do that. But I will tell you that a bigger divide for me is, and I'd have to end this entire thing now if I found out that you record fireworks.
I love that you said that.
If I ever find out, like, there's a special place in hell for people who record fireworks.
I also
don't do it.
Agree
Don't say it.
that recording fireworks is kind of silly.
Okay,
but
oh god, there's a but.
Some people that I know that I don't want to insult record fireworks.
Why?
So
for what reason?
I'm not gonna, I couldn't tell you who's gonna watch it.
Who's gonna watch it? Oh, dude, do you want to watch fireworks? No, well, I mean live. Yeah, put the camera down, man. Enjoy the moment.
If you record a parade and you don't know the people that you're recording,
yeah, don't do that either. Yeah. No, I'm with. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
It's Boy Scout Troop 542 from 20 cities over.
Put the camera down. You don't need to record the Boy Scout troop. You don't
look. It's a Lindbergh Fire Department.
How about this?
We're like 50 miles from Lindbergh.
Yeah. They're also the people who empty their camera roll on like a Facebook account. Oh, I don't know. Is that the right word anymore? Let's say you got like you went to that parade and you took 90 pictures and you put all 90 pictures on.
You're starting to hit a little bit too close to home. It's not me, because I agree. I don't do that. But
we all know people who do this.
None of your friends are looking at all 76 of those pictures.
No, I'm not looking at 6 of them. Not all 76 of them.
The 4 that I see are the 4 that I'll see, and I'm not going to even click on those to open it.
No.
If I can't make it out, I'm just going to keep scrolling.
Let's just say that when Vince passes, and that will probably be sooner than later at this point, he will be roasting in the eternal fiery pits of Hades and hell with people who have recorded fireworks.
Cookie dough eaters.
No, we're special.
Well,
we're special.
In a Playboy magazine interview, the one that I mentioned earlier, at the head of the show, Vince was asked, when you step aside, will you write a death scene for your alter ego? Vince answered, a death scene? That wouldn't be reality. But it's time for me to go. I'd like to be devoured by the biggest, baddest carnivore that ever walked the face of the earth. And then I'd like that son of a bitch to get indigestion and vomit my remains back up.
Well, I guess if we can envision the Department of Justice as a carnivore, it hopefully is about to devour his ass.
I would agree.
Yeah. And then spin him back up into a prison cell. See what I did there? I took the metaphor.
What'd you do?
I took the metaphor and I made it work. But this was the absurdity. This is the absurdity of the rise and fall of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I really want to conclude this episode by stating that we're exercising fair use here. And this is just for entertainment purposes.
I don't want to make enemies with a billionaire.
Yeah. And God willing, we hope you were entertained, and we encourage you to go out and do your own research too. Of course, if you heard about anyone or anything in the show that you'd like to learn more about, please dive deeper. That's always a great thing to do. We don't condone any of these abhorrent acts, and really any attempt to find humor in it is just based on the absurdity of all of it. So you or someone you know needs help, please don't hesitate to contact a local crisis center. Remember, most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, you are never alone. There's always a way to get help. So on that note, on that very serious but very important note, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, I don't know, to Nerds Night Out. I'm Tom.
I'm Q.
And we had a blast, and I hope you learned a lot as we talked about the rise and fall of Vince McMahon.
Deuces, everybody.
Double deuces.
Oh, you got me again.
I know. It's a thing. I always get you.